Ho, ho, ho. Wake up, gamers, because you're listening to the Big Think Dimension live with Dan Video Games and Dr. Aggro. It takes two.
To fuck Eric's wife.
KZ Excellent.
I'm just like the guy from Drive, except I walk.
And Mr. Feel.
Snakes going sideways.
Here on Gigaboots.
Bark, bark.
Hi. How's it going?
Hello.
Do you think that new Sonic game will have like the Sonic 06 energy of NPCs just going, hey?
Hey.
I
Yep.
desperately
I
hope
hope.
so. Yeah.
And look like Yakuza characters.
Yes.
That's important.
I really hope they keep the Final Fantasy IX-esque aesthetic from 06. I mean, for the cutscenes, not for the rest of the game.
But yeah, we're doing Big Think Live because the Game Awards devastated our usual recording slot.
Yes.
Yup.
You can now watch as I cut the mic to do this.
Ooh.
Featuring me, Dan Video Games.
Look forward to Podlords.
See you soon, Podlords. See you soon, Podlords. We got gaming news. But before we get to that, we have a couple games we've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
I played all of Halo.
Like,
Whoa.
all of it?
all of.
That seems hard. It's open world like Days Gone. It should be like 60 hours, right?
It might be if you went to every single thing on the map
Uh-huh.
and scraped it.
Yeah.
But I beat the game, and quite frankly, all the open world content is the most. Like, I know it's a thing with open world games, right? It's a very cut and paste sort of content, like not really individual levels a lot of the time.
Right.
This is the worst I've ever seen it.
Really?
Yes, actually. For reference, I just went through Far Cry 6 2 months ago.
I mean, I'm not a super expert on the Halo games, but I feel like most of the content involves walk to place, shoot alien.
Usually in Halo, what you have is like a really scripted level that you follow in a relatively linear manner, but they can have big open areas where they've structured sort of the environment to give you certain purviews over things, sight lines, things like that, multiple different ways to tackle the battle. All of that type of gameplay is largely consumed by this open world thing, which doesn't have that much. How do I put it? It doesn't have that sort of like designed or authored feel to it. It just feels like they put a building on a map. A lot of them are completely identical.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really do this thing again, but it's in this spot. And if you're lucky, they're slightly different enemies.
Right? Like, we put a hallway shooter on an open plane, and you won't believe what happened.
You won't believe what happened next. Not a whole lot, actually. I beat the game in under 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this wasn't Dan rushed to the title screen to check. It gave me an achievement. And when it did that, I just went, what? Like, what do you
Like,
mean?
specifically for under 8?
Yes.
That messes me up because at launch, people found out you cannot replay any of the missions in this either.
Well,
That's coming later in a patch because they're open world, so you could never replay any of that.
the interesting thing is you can't replay the missions, but the missions, the actual levels they designed, because it's like oil and water.
Ooh.
They have the giant open world area, and then they have actual levels they made. And I say levels because it's 2 levels they reuse a shitload.
Oh.
Like 2 hours into the game was the latest I thought it was funny, where I was like, hey, it's a throwback to Halo 1, because they had me run all the way through an area and back out, and this is 2 levels in their playbook. And then I realized that's the whole game, and it stopped being funny.
How do you, like, are the levels discrete from the open world?
Yeah.
Like,
let me explain, because the transition I found very funny. It'll be like, we need to get down there. Let's go. And then you'll drive, like, I drove a Warthog with 3 buddies into a room, And then it just fades to black. And when it comes back, they're gone, and so is the Warhog.
When it comes back, like your strike team's drop ships are up in orbit, and then when you're all done loading in, you go into the strike and
Yeah!
No. You walk into a room, everything disappears. If you're lucky, I think every time. One time it switched my weapons, I swear to God. But you should keep the weapons you have in the last area. But all my Marines are gone. And this is to play a level that I've already played once. Because they keep reusing it. And it's not a fantastic level. This game, basically, if you want to boil it down, has 3 whole levels. They reuse 2 of them. They reuse one of them a shitload to the point that's insane. And it's really not that interesting of a level to begin with. It's just, if you've played Halo, close your eyes and think about 343 Industries doing Forerunner architecture, very polished silver-like metals and 45-degree angles, okay, as a hallway. That's it. You're done. It's just a bunch of that, and for some reason, they still needed to recycle it. I was floored. I expected this game to be bad. I expected it to be disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect the vector on which it was going to be disappointing, because in no world would I have made a joke with, yeah, you remember in Halo 1 when you had to run all the way down this thing and then all the way back, and they were like, that's 2 levels, you're welcome. They're going to do that 3 times. I never would have made that joke. That 3rd level, without describing what it is plot-wise, they didn't really design much of a level. It is literally 2 training areas, you could say, that are just big, open, like sandbox is what they called it in the older ones, like big sandbox structure. And you fight off some waves. And then you do a bad boss fight, and then you do another boss fight that's not as bad. And then you go back to the first level again.
What?
And then the game ends.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really something. And yeah, I'm sitting here, and this isn't a bit. I'm sitting here, we've been very clear, Bob and I. We think Halo 5 is a better game because it's a more enjoyable game than 4. I'm sitting here trying to figure out which one's worse, Halo 4 or Infinite. And I'm really sure it's Infinite, and that scares me. Because 4 has a lot of things going for it. Halo 4 has it has the new race they bring in, the Prometheans, and that tech looks really cool. And this actually goes into my next thing of, there are a lot of things in Halo 3, 4, and 5 that tech-wise, like ambition-wise, is really cool in the sense of, like, it's impressive. And Infinite looks bad compared to Halo 3, 4, and 5. And each like, both 4 and 5 have their own drama and story about how they were made. 4's chasing the end of the 360 life cycle to get out with a completely new studio and all these things. But there's some ambition to the cool novelty of going into this machine planet and these Prometheans and this weird stuff. It's firing neurons.
Mm-hmm.
Halo Infinite, to me, by the end of it, just felt like a 10 times worse The Force Awakens for the Halo franchise. It just feels like we took super broad strokes, what the original game was, took out all of the biomes except for interior Forerunner tech and grassy sort of tree area. And that's the whole game. And it took me like 7.5 hours, 7 hours, 19 minutes. The thought that I would want to spend, because according to people online, you can take up to 60 hours doing all the open world stuff. I don't... Because it's not even like one of the ways I was concerned about this game, I thought it was going to be one open world segment for the whole thing. But no, you keep moving, but they all look the same. And that was the part that floored me as I kept going. I think there are maybe 4 of them. I can't remember.
The biome doesn't even change?
The biome's only very slightly different. All of them are very...
More hexagons?
Is there like a
the last
snow
one
one?
has more hexagons.
Yeah! I called that shit.
Is there like a snow one? Because I remember Halo 1 has like snow levels.
No.
Where you run...
No.
Ah.
Yeah, the multiplayer has so many more diverse biomes in it. It's really weird. It's really weird coming to the game, and just, you get this pretty well made, in my opinion, opening level segment Then it dumps you into the open world, and what you expect is you will get more segments like that. That sort of authored level content, not open world tools like boxing, big kid gloves, like fucking we're punching out a AAA
Like we made
level.
a fucking Halo game.
Right. We made a Halo. We made levels. And no, because one, it recycles a ton and it feels terrible. Let me put it this way. There's one open world segment map. I'm not exaggerating. Where you go to 4 towers to hit the button. The towers are all literally identical, meaning I ran through the same room 8 times in a row. The room, by the way, is a circle. So you have to run from one end of the circle to the other, hit the button, and then run right back out. 8 times I ran through that room, all in a row on this one open world segment.
How?
I don't know.
How did this happen to Halo?
6 years.
It's so weird. They have so many examples to go by, right? And I know they know that because, once again, this feels like a 10 times worse The Force Awakens for Halos. They took Halo 1, and they were like, well, clearly we want to tap into some stuff from that. But they start doing that, but then they're like concerned about being novel. And the way in which they're concerned about being novel is they have a new proper noun. The Endless.
Oh, good.
So they have the new proper noun, The Endless. And throughout the story, it's like you witness people talking about the endless. And one of them goes, look, both you and I know we have things worse than the flood here.
What?
They need this to be the flood, but way cooler. Like as a concept of ancient evil is hidden in the ring.
Okay, so you're fighting the Endless now. I assume like you start with
Bob.
you start with desire and despair, and then you move on to delirium, and then maybe we'll get like we'll get Dream in the first DLC.
Is the jailer going to show up? Is the jailer going to show up and he's going to be responsible for everything in Halo 1 behind the scenes?
Please stop.
So I'm going to say some stuff that's mild plot spoilers. It's more about what isn't in the game than what is in the game, but it is mild plot spoilers. If you care about Halo Infinite, mute this, or if you're playing it later, skip ahead. You do not fight the Endless. Microsoft just trademarked Halo: The Endless.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
it's a 10-year plan, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
That was the moment where I was talking to you this morning. You're like, I'm so scared I'm going to see that at the Game Awards.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way they're spoiling their own game
See,
the
like,
day after it came out at the Game
You
Awards.
talk about how they had examples. They had a beautiful example in Destiny, where
Yes.
they realized you can wait a few years
Yeah.
to have like your whole game in. And, then Taken King those bitches and they'll buy the whole thing again.
Yes.
These smart bastards figured out you don't even have to put any of the game in the first time. That's a waste of resources.
It
Also,
kinda is.
no one will buy it because of our new service where you don't have to buy things.
Right. It doesn't make sense to push back development
There's
a whole
no
year.
incentive. There's no incentive to make anything good because no one's going to buy it. You literally orchestrated the situation where no one will buy it.
We did it, everybody.
Discord gave me 2 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate almost the day Halo Infinite came out.
Hey, be careful. It might be Microsoft Office 365.
Yeah, I told him about that problem.
YouTube emailed me during the Game Awards to tell me that they were trying to give me free months of Game Pass.
Dude, I thought it was weird when it started showing up in like Rice Krispie treats. This is weirder, honestly, when Discord and YouTube are like, here. See you soon,
It's like a
Master
trap.
Chief.
It's like they have to roll the dice and hope you don't click do not like cancel.
Oh, yeah,
before that
absolutely.
time's up.
Mm-hmm.
Because while I'm not going to sit here and say their plan is the same as Stadia's to make you keep paying past closing your account, they are absolutely just hoping you don't hit cancel. So this was a surreal disappointment. The first impression everyone got from the debut trailer of gameplay in Halo Infinite, not just the technology or the cutscene with Echo 216, is that Yeah, that's spot on the money. That dude, Eshram, the scary dude who gets up on the camera and he's like, Master Chief.
Oh, you mean Gaul?
Yes. He is as lame as everyone initially perceived. It doesn't fix itself at any point in time. Yeah, it's really disappointing.
Was there a plant god?
No.
Okay, that's
no.
Put that in the win column.
No, you want to know what the new plant god is?
Oh fuck!
And the extent of which this is novel is, of course, entirely up to me remembering every Halo game super well. Because I know 4 starts dipping into this, but I feel like this one hits it way harder, like the hardest the series has. Data is magic in this one, where it's like Data's floating through the air, and Chief will hear like Cortana or something. And he'll go, what was that? And quirky Tana on his hand will just be like, it's just echoes and data, Chief. I'm like, what? What?
As we lead up to the second expansion where you have to enter the metaverse.
You know, there were leaks early on about like, this is going to be the one that resets the timeline and you go back in time. And I thought that was really funny because here's the thing about that. That's an idea for a game plot. And quite frankly, what they have here is basically not. It's really weird.
Maybe this is metatextually brilliant. Because by the time you're going back in time to be like, Master Chief, it's me, Master Chief. I need you to do or not do X thing to branch the timeline.
Right.
Because fuck, this is becoming insufferable and we need to fix it.
So this feels like this would have been the game to have Master Chief go back and meet Pastor Chief to talk to him about that. But unfortunately, that premonition did not come true. This would have been a great time, though. It's really weird because the number one thing that is incredibly bizarre about this game story, the entirety of this game story, outside of the broadest strokes of Chief is on a Halo ring, and he needs to find whatever the secret underground is before the aliens do. He has to stop them. Also, AIs? Good guy? Bad guy? Who knows? Aside from that, any deeper, the story is all the cool shit, everything we built up to, all of the important stuff ever happened in between games, and we will spend the least money possible to retell what happened in between them.
Yeah, that was really rough, where I got recommended a video of everything between Halo 5 and Infinite, and they're like, here's 12 books.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. And it just at no point does it get better.
So this game like didn't actually start development until like mid 2019, right? Like we basically found that out, didn't we?
Yeah,
I remember
because
us finding out something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, early development was a nightmare, and then the people who led early development just left.
Yeah, that one got burned down a couple of times.
It sounds like your extremely cynical prediction was actually better than what we got, where you said it would be a bad open world game, but it would have a really polished opening level and a really polished final level. And it sounds like the final level isn't there.
The final level is the second level. Yeah, it's really bad. I found this confusing because what you see online, what I've seen in reviews and tweets and other things, is people are like, this is 343 Industries' best Halo campaign yet. And as critical as I've been of 343 since the beginning, because they're a corporation that's wholesale set up to run a franchise. Mm-hmm. This isn't people with a vision.
Right.
They have been put in slots to do this. And you can still make great art in that environment, just to be clear. I think it's really shitty to call this their best campaign yet. I feel like 4 had more interesting ideas. It just didn't introduce the didact at all. 5 was interesting, but really fucked with people because it lied about what the game was in the marketing. And then the story itself is bad in a way that Infinite is worse than 10 times over. Where it's just like, yeah, and that's the thing. That's
is
the
Locke
thing
in this game?
No. No. and I'm about to tell you why. If you care about Halo Infinite spoilers, you fucking mute this. This is going to be nuclear, okay? They do a hologram playback of Cortana telling an AI to nuke the training facility so 50 Spartans die. I assume Locke was in there.
Wow, it's a good thing they still have to make the multiplayer canon, so I can't play as elites.
So that was stroke inducing, that cutscene. My jaw dropped. I'm like, you spent. It's so what you're seeing across all of these 343 games is that they set up a villain, and then they set up an arc with Cortana and the Spartans, and then Infinite went, we're just gonna sweep this shit off the table, and then I'll make up a story about how I didn't just sweep that shit off the table. It
occurs to me over and over again every time I listen to one of you guys talk about Halo at length.
Yeah.
That, like, I remember that since I've never played a Halo game outside of multiplayer LAN parties, I don't actually have any idea what the fuck goes on in Halo stories.
Yeah.
I just watched like the 15 seasons of Red versus Blue.
Yeah, see, there you go. That's all you need. I tapped down at like 10 to 13.
From
and I'm
everything
good.
I hear, I think I picked the winning strategy.
You definitely did. It's much more coherent over there for those seasons, and then it gets real rough. I like the part where it's like the main villain of, what was it, Halo 4 is defeated in a comic book because he was impervious to one gun, but they got a second gun and shot both of them and it killed him.
Yes, they composed his ass to death.
Yes. There's special lasers, Aggro, that turn you into data.
I've seen Tron, yes.
And because the Didact, who is Frieza, the Didact is Frieza.
He really is.
Kind of okay, fuck, that sounds awesome.
It should be, but they forgot to introduce him in that game.
It's not.
He's introduced in a book.
It would be better if they went further, but they like try to make him really epic and cool in a way that doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's immune to being composed because like it's his technology.
Mm-hmm.
So in the comic, 2 of them shoot him at once, and he screams no as he dissolves into data.
His weakness, 2 guns.
And this
yeah, proper accounting. That's how you take out villains all the time, like Al Capone. Double entry bookkeeping.
So,
thank you,
thank you,
Dr. Aggro.
But yeah, it's really that summarizes, and everything I said about Infinite summarizes what the 343 Industries era has brought to Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they do that thing where I feel like they do it nonstop, and I'm really hitting my limit. They do the thing where they go, John, you're special, and I'm like, I know. You yelled that for all of 4. You said that across 5 countless times. You don't want to do those plots anymore, but you also still want to just really drive that home. And
I might be remembering wrong, but wasn't the whole point of that Cortana thought he was lucky?
Yes, the whole point of her thing is that, like, and that's been a thing since 1. Like, well, I think really it starts in 3, but we can pretend it happened in 2 or 1 to some degree, right? Because she says he's lucky. And then they decided that was the thing. 4 is the one where it's like, you're the chosen one, right? You're the culmination of generations of planned breeding and all sorts of things. Like, the Forerunners planned all of this.
No, man. I don't want to see a fucking Spartan like the sleeper must awaken.
that cutscene is so bad. I remember watching that and going, man, this is terrible.
So now you know why I dislike 4, and I'm still sitting here struggling and going, I'm really sure 4 is better than Infinite, but that feels so crazy to say.
Maybe I should play a Halo game at some point.
That would be really funny, as you're fine, and by the time you hit 4, the blanks start killing you.
Yeah, and then Aggro's like, so I played Halo Wars 2.
I can't even imagine playing Infinite if you played Halo Wars 2, because that's supposed to have the faction that's nearly identical to the Banished. Because I don't think it's the Banished in that. I think it's a faction that's nearly identical in concept.
Banished?
Yeah. Oh, the main villains of Halo Infinite is the Banished.
It was really bizarre. Oh, because I never really played Halo until last year. So I played Halo. I got to the Warthogs chase in Halo 3 and was like, oh my god, BioWare just stole Halo to make Mass Effect. and then I get to Halo 4 and 5, and it's like, oh my god, the exact same sort of people who wrote Mass Effect now control Halo.
So people are confirming Halo Wars 2 did invent the Banish. So the Banish aren't even novel for Infinite. They just have a leader that is new.
Yeah, I think there was something like someone in Halo Wars 2 contacts the guy from Infinite. So it's like, now here's the real big guy that apparently sucks.
There's a moment in the game that's really funny, and I'm going to be hyperbolistic as to not spoil the actual moment, but you need to understand the spiritual level of this moment in the game is exactly how I describe it. He's doing his cool speech. He's Escharum. Escharam's like, do you know why we Banished are so good at killing? You are not prepared for the training we've gone through. And then Master Chief just stares blankly, and he's like, Master Chief, look up. Now look down. Now look up again. Damn, he passed my test. And yeah.
And then the credits play. I don't know why you're so negative. If that's a really good closer.
So yeah, that's Halo Infinite. On one hand, I'm glad I didn't spend money technically on it because I have Game Pass, and that means it's free. And I had to read a number of reviews that are like, it's a free video game, and I'm like, it's $16 a month to get a video game, kind of. Like, I don't know, man.
You probably bought a bag of Rice Krispie treats or paid $1 to turn 3 years of Xbox Live into Game Pass. So I guess.
Yeah, that's what I did, and that shit ends in June. So I don't know how many more chances I'm going to give Microsoft first party past June.
Halo Infinite, it's not a product, it's an advertisement, because Microsoft doesn't want to sell you a thing. Right. They want to induce you to become indebted to them.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
It's a subtle shift in the way our economy works, and also a disastrous one.
Yes.
We're in a post-game sale economy.
It's really weird that like this is the one where they separated multiplayer and campaign, because like it sounds like the campaign is the least able to stand on its own it's ever been.
Oh, 100%. Because none of the levels are engaging. Like none of them have. When we played Halo 2 from Halo, I made multiple jokes. I think it was twice, maybe 3 times throughout playing Halo 2. I was like, man, Halo 2 really did invent the Destiny loop of go up, hit a button, fight off waves. What if I told you somehow Infinite found a way to make that same idea as it applies to progress through a level worse somehow? Because what will happen is there will be a button to activate an elevator or open a door or do any number of things. And if you're lucky, the way it goes, you run up to it, you try to hit the button, and then the quirky Tana in your head just goes, Chief, there are enemies nearby. Clear them all before you can hit this button. If you're unlucky, Chief, this button doesn't work because this elevator or door or whatever isn't powered. Go find 2 power cores that are on 2 different ends of 2 different rooms and then just run them back because that's really good gameplay. I must have done that.
No.
Not exaggerating. I must have done that at least 18 times in this game. This game barely with levels.
No.
You know, sometimes you can look at a game visually and be like, this is clearly like you got all this from the asset store. There's also that moment when you're playing a game where you're like, oh, all of these missions were just in the engine and you put your nouns on them.
Yeah, it's like you have the intellectual equivalent of the asset store. That's where you get Halo Infinite missions and libertarianism.
It was easy. I just installed the plugin. But yeah, so that's Halo Infinite. I wanted to apologize mainly to Halo 2 because Halo 2, when it had the button, it would be like, hit this button to ride this tram to the correct side of this building. Oh no, enemies attacked. Me and somebody have to get somewhere because things are happening. Imagine me and somebody didn't exist, and something's happening didn't either. And there was no tram. There's like one segment like that in Infinite, and they spawn 6 floating enemies who are non-threatening at all to just bang, 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 bang. And then you just have to wait forever for the thing to get across this enormous room that all looks the same. It's something. It's really, really something. I was playing on performance mode. This is going to be the last story I tell. The audio for this game is really good. 2 things. The audio for this game is really good. Whenever I try a AAA game and I'm absorbing myself and not on stream, I wear my like studio headphones so I can be like, give me the maximum dynamic range. I want to hear like how good this is. It sounds great. There's one slight problem though. Everything's mixed really well where you can set all of your audio so that way the ambient shit's immersive. Mm-hmm. You can hear dialogue. You can get everything. Mm-hmm. But if you punch someone, it will hurt. They made it the loudest sound in the world, and I literally, this is the only video game
They only took Field's advice.
I know. This is the only video game I've ever had to go, Jesus Christ, lower that by 6 decibels. Holy shit, my ears. Like, because everything else is fine. I'm firing a gun. And it's quieter than the sound of Master Chief decking a guy on the nose. Like,
that's realistic.
I imagine future guns are just quieter.
Yes.
But, I mean, there's no way to dull the sound of hard carbide plastic just smacking into flesh.
We would have to do to this mic what we did to that Xbox Series X to make a sound as loud. It was intense. But yeah, I forgot the other thing I was going to say because the audio thing was more important in my opinion. So I will pass. That's I'm not going to touch. Me and Bob may stream Halo Infinite at some point. Bob's still sick, so he's sitting out for a while.
Achoo.
Punch it, Achewy.
I'm sorry. Gave him an opening.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't think I'm ever going to mute this game again. They do this really weird thing where, open worlds need to have important things to go for.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they take an elite with a sword and they give him a name and they pretend he's important.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, this is the really cool guy. I'm like, that wasn't the guy in the cutscene you said was really cool.
Yeah, this is Geraldus.
Is there any reason to do the open world content?
I skipped the entire last 2 open world segments.
Yeah, don't you unlock unlimited of a gun? Or I know there's something where you
get new guns and you can get places to fast travel to. But at a certain point, they made every basic weapon you're going to come across sustainable and workable for enemies. There's very few situations. There are some, in my opinion. There are very few situations, though, where you're going to be facing what one might call a really bad boss. And they didn't give you a weapon powerful enough to deal with its horse shit.
You mean they didn't drop like the shoulder-mounted Resistance 2 laser?
No, they didn't. I know. Isn't that weird?
I'm glad we could get that game into the podcast.
We talked about a shooter and aggros here. Here we go.
So it sounds like they were like, people won't really like a progression system in Halo, like a character progression system. And instead of going, we shouldn't make a genre of game that is dependent on you having some sort of character progression system, they just didn't have it. So
they have one thing you would describe as a progression system. All throughout the game, you'll come across chests that have Spartan points in them. I think they call them Spartan cores, but it's a
okay.
point.
I'm like
Doom.
There's an object that there's at least one layer of fiction here, not just points.
Right? Oh, Bazinga got 1,000. You have 5 different ways to spend it. 4 of them are the special abilities you get, which are already in multiplayer. So, hook shot, tiny deployable wall, weird shoulder charge, and enemy detector. You can spend those Spartan cores on upgrading those to get like, oh, if your hook shot hits the enemy, it'll stun them, which it already does. So I don't know why I needed to buy that. So I didn't.
Maybe for like bigger enemies?
Your dash does this. I'm trying to... Oh, yeah, your dash gets 2 charges. Yeah, so each of them add these little abilities. You can do 4 different purchases. But then there's the core one, the one that's outside of these 4 special abilities that you get across the game, where it's like, up your shields. And I'm like, ha, I ain't no idiot. So, I maxed that out. I looked at other things, realized nothing of value was there, and just stopped doing the open world. Because at the end of the day, fast travel doesn't matter. Because the checkpointing is Halo checkpointing turned up to be even more forgiving. Because depending on what Halo game you're playing, it's either weirdly not quite as generous or it's pretty generous. This was insanely generous. We're talking, I flew, let's say 750 meters, what it calls it in game. It checkpointed 3 times. It was like, nothing has happened this whole time. You're just that scared that I might want to get to somewhere after dying, which is fine. I'm not complaining. But the point of fast travel is kind of moot when you get aerial vehicles and the checkpointing's so kind. So yeah, I said I skipped the last 2 open worlds. I need to clarify. I did, but the game disagreed. So at one point in the second to last open world, I'm flying. And I'm flying towards the thing. I finally did the 4 towers to open up this thing to go into a place where a thing might be happening. And as we're about to land in front of this tower, which is like 600 meters from the next closest thing, Quirky Tana goes, "Good job, Chief. You cleared them all out. Go ahead and take over the FOB." And I go, "What?" And I look behind me, and I flew over an FOB. Like a base the UNSC used to occupy. So I fly back to it. There are enemies all over it. And I'm like, but she said that. I run up to the button, which is the takeover button, the same button like all those other buttons where you cannot hit it until everyone's gone. And it goes, yeah, go ahead. So enemies are shooting at me. I go, boop. And it's like, good job, Chief. You have this. Marines spring up out of the ground like Pikmin. And I can now just drop a warthog. I don't know. So, anyway. One actual last thing. So, as I said, the audio is fine. The only time you'll have a problem with the audio, in my experience, is when you hit the share button, because they clearly did not design that OS to allow you to create buttons or videos. The audio will glitch, pop, drop out entirely, take seconds to come back, all sorts of problems. Because they did it wrong. However, the video is insanely the worst I've ever seen. And when I say that, you're like, okay, the video playback is bad. And I'm like, oh, yes, but awesome. So as for the videos are at really weird frame rates, like the pre-rendered stuff. I think it's at 24, and then they double it up to 48. And with a variable refresh display, it could smooth that out. A normal TV couldn't. They also fucked up the gamma, so everything's gray instead of black. So it looks really bad. Like Digital Foundry talked about this at launch. And well, actually, they played it early and it had this problem. They still didn't fix it for launch. So everything's gray and weird and low contrast and it looks really bad. They didn't fix that. And thank God I had a variable refresh rate display, because otherwise those videos would have been juddery to shit.
Yeah.
The gameplay, though, is the actual egregious thing. So like your modern games do, you're in control, and then seamlessly cutscene sort of quality animations take over, but you didn't change perspectives. Anytime a cutscene quality animation plays, every animation updates at about 24 frames per second off sync from the rendering. So you're getting a 60 frames per second viewport of Master Chief's arms juddering through space, and everything everywhere throughout every cutscene moment is like this. And it is honestly one of the hardest things to look at in a video game ever. And it's the whole way through. I'm like, someone spent forever on these animations, right? Because some of them do look pretty nice. The models generally really don't. But the animations, some of them look really, really nice. But it's really hard to look at. Like, your eyes have trouble tracking what's going on because you're looking around in 60, but the world itself is moving at different frame rates, spiking up and down, and it doesn't match. I've never seen something so hard to look at.
Like, this is what it's like to live in the real world as Dan video games.
That dog is low frame rate.
All around me are shitty frame rates.
Low ass frame rates. Low ass. Anyway, that's it. I'm done talking about Halo Infinite. I'm glad I got that done before Big Think Life. Bob, last I heard, was totally open to streaming that. I don't know if he will after he beats it, because he's probably also racing to the end to beat it. Yeah. Did you play anything you wanted to talk about?
The last thing I actually played was Voice of Cards: The Isle Dragon Roars.
Did you beat that?
I did. I beat that, and I went and did the optional boss, and I started up the New Game Plus to check a couple of things. And it's a Yoko Taro game, so I need to like beat it a couple more times, I think, to be sure that I've seen the whole thing.
Good.
Because like it's got a free demo on Steam, and the demo is it's a prequel to the game. Like there's extra lore in the demo because it's a Yoko Taro game.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you need to go back and play the demo?
Oh no, I started with the demo.
Okay, that's good. Need to get that lore.
Yeah, it was because you go to the Steam page, like the first review is play the demo.
Good.
Yeah.
So I lied. There's one last thing.
I knew it.
Always.
This is imagine the sound of dropping a brick into a swimming pool at the deep end. This is what
I'm there.
Okay.
Sort
this is that moment for me. I don't consider this spoilers. I don't think anyone out there should. I'm pretty sensitive to spoiling shit for people, so normally I try to give one. I don't count this. However, it does have to do with the ending. So, Aggro, who has never played a Halo campaign,
right?
The legendary mode is a reward for you beating the game on such a hard difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
It feels well earned, and it gives you extra stuff. Like, here's a new cutscene that sets up for the next game. Here's a new cutscene that gives you extra closure. Like, oh, that feels nice. Ooh. It is identical, but they play a voiceover over it. That is all they did in this one. They played an audio file.
Where they reveal that Master Chief was a replicant all along.
I can't. No.
Okay.
Thank you for answering.
The fucking difficulties outside of Legendary have no talking or anything going on. You're just watching a really lame thing play out. And then for the Legendary, they play a voice clip that doesn't necessarily match up with the visual.
How did this happen?
I don't
How did this happen to Halo?
That's the part that gets me. This happening to many things, I understand. As Kyle Bosman put it, Master Chief is supposed to be Microsoft's crown jewel. When they put up their shit-posting ass terrible like Thanksgiving image that's everyone eating at Thanksgiving in the ZeniMax family, the Bethesda family, and Microsoft, Master Chief is at the head of the table. How did this happen? They had 5 different Halo games they could have looked at before Bungie left to go, we need to make one of those. But then they made 4, which had critical problems with the story and other stuff. And then they went insane because they can't keep making that game now. They've convinced themselves that's outdated. They can't make that anymore. So 5 was the heavy co-op emphasis. You know, you had a kill team. Oh. And now 6 is the open world that is heinously terrible. 1. I don't know how they let this happen to Halo. It is so insane. Could you imagine somehow Naughty Dog's like, we're leaving Sony somehow, legally. We're never making another Uncharted. And then they let this happen to Uncharted. Uncharted, by the way, because I'm not insane and you people need to know this, is not Halo.
I've checked.
See, it would go better for Uncharted because they would just go, well, there was always the implication of supernatural stuff in Uncharted, so now Nathan Drake's just fighting a wizard.
No, that'd be cool, and I've been waiting for that franchise to take that turn this whole time.
Yeah.
Since the first one has, like, actual supernatural shit, and then 2 does the weirdest backpedal in the world of it was blue suits. I'm like, they leapt 40 feet into the air.
Yeah, those people were still...
They were super powered, but they couldn't be monsters. They still had to be people inside of suits.
Well, they were still like 8 feet tall and blue. Hopped up on stone juice.
But it was the weirdest thing of, we need to explain this is normal. If it's a person who could do all this, then it's normal. And I'm like, why are you doing this?
It was like a double fake out.
And then Uncharted 3 is like, well, Talbot rounds this corner to a dead end and vanishes. Is that some kind of supernatural thing? He's like, no, Amy Hennig just wrote this.
Yeah, no. The problem is we forgot to keep track of our characters because we wrote all the set pieces and levels like in advance of what the story of this fucking game was.
And then Uncharted 3 does this thing where we're like, we're going to pull up the jar that Solomon sealed all those demons into, and right when it gets next to the surface, we're just going to drop it like every other fucking storyline in this disappointing ass game.
I know, that one's great. It's like a 9.
I constantly wonder if Golden Abyss is better. Because I didn't play it. I didn't play it enough. I don't know.
4 was good, and the small game after 4 was good. So.
Yeah. Plus, and this wasn't in news, but I should have put it in there. They have the $10 upgrade thing. Did you see that?
No.
If you own on disc or digital the Uncharted 4 or the other one or both, you spend like $10 and upgrade to the next gen version.
Oh, bitchin'.
It goes up to 120 frames per second. I'm like,
ooh.
I was already happy with 60. Holy shit.
I was expecting to be robbed, so this is quite a surprise.
I know, right? And they wanted to until people go, until Horizon came out as this whole, no, you guys said that was supposed to be free or whatever when people did the gotcha. And then this comes out slightly before that, I believe. It's January. But yeah. That is the last Halo Infinite thing. Did you have anything more to say about your game?
Well, I mean, it's a game that I recommend heartily. Voice of Cards, the Isle Dragon Roars. God, that name is long and dumb.
Yeah.
But it's not a game I can recommend broadly.
Yeah.
Because it's weird and specific.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a JRPG where everything is cards. And I've had to do this like 4 fucking times in real life. What I just said was it's a JRPG where everything is cards. Not a JRPG that uses a deck mechanic.
Right.
Go watch the trailer. It is a JRPG where everything is cards. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, that matches up with how I recommend Returnal. Not broadly, but very heartily. Because that game is really fucking special and amazing. But
everything is guns.
It's also hard as fuck.
Yeah, it is.
KZ, did you have any games you wanted to talk about?
The only thing I've had time for is Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, since that came out right after we recorded the last big thing. I finished it, but we're doing a spoiler cast, and there's a lot to say, and saying anything now would be pointless. I just have to pick something at random. So that was good. That was my 10.
Cool.
So that's it for me this week.
I have not finished it because you get in the queue and it says, you're 8,575th in the queue. Nobody's logging out because if you log out, you are not getting back in that day.
What I love is the fact that you'll go in there and you'll see the number go down and you keep going up and they had the 2002 issue where they're like, we erred while in line. Go launch it again. And if you take too long, you reset because they'll hold your place for a little bit on those. But apparently they fixed at least a chunk of these 2002 errors. And it's like, great. And people were like, wait a minute. They fixed it. The line's taking a little longer to start moving because people aren't getting kicked out. Because it kept going fast because people kept getting kicked out and losing their minds.
Luckily, my strategy of treating it like I'm going to school and I have to get up early in the morning and log in before the children wake up. It's like, okay, then you can get in.
It's good on weekdays.
Yeah, exactly.
You're good on weekdays. You're good till like almost 2 p.m. Then it starts getting up there.
Yeah, like back when I played World of Warcraft, I found the trick was to find a realm that was in a different time zone than you are.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good plan.
Yeah, that's hard because they're data centers here.
Yeah.
And they can't let you travel to data centers until the patch after this.
Oof. That's rough.
Yeah, and you also it's like a temporary thing too.
Yeah, that's really rough because usually, like when the expansion comes out, I'm like, oh, we're all playing again. Like, oh, I want to play with these guys now. That's peak when you want to move a character time.
Yes.
Yeah, they have like world travel, so it's like a data center here, and there's like 7 worlds, and you can like do between that. But
Yeah, I remember they had that cool hybrid system thing.
yeah, but there are limits. But yeah, I don't really have anything detailed to talk about that.
You're so full from closure, yum.
I'm so full from closure, yum.
Well, that's good. Feel. Do you have any games you want to talk about?
I'll just go through this real quick. I beat Lost Judgment. Lost Judgment is fucking fantastic. I think everybody should play it. You don't have to play the first one to play it.
Yep.
The decision to be like, okay, we're gonna give the protagonist a Virgil.
Yeah.
What is not just what is this one of this Virgil's primary characteristics? He vapes.
Yes, he does. I was like, did he just pull out a vape pen?
and it's not just like a one-off thing, it's a plot point in the game.
Yes, it is.
That he vapes. And it's like, who is the rival of this stupid boomer who does karate and is like a detective and dresses the same as he did in high school? And they create the perfect Virgil for that character.
Yes, they
fantastic.
Do.
Jesus Christ.
And it really is the most dudes rock game ever played when you're facing down, the 300 thugs with your bros who also dress exactly as they did when they were in high school. You're all 35. One of them is wearing an anonymous mask.
When he says 300, he's not kidding. You actually fight like 250 dudes in one fight, and then it just becomes a muso.
That's awesome.
And if you press the triangle button at the right time, you do combo attacks with them.
Yeah.
Man.
I also started playing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't expect that game to impress me so much. I'm only about halfway through, but it's really solid. It feels good to control. Outside of a couple things in the very first level, it runs really well. The first level is like the big, like you can see forever in this big space debris field.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times when it will drop. But other than that, it's real solid. It looks really good. It's like, wow, we've obtained the ability to look like a Sony game from 3 years ago.
I know. It's impressive when anyone does that.
Yeah.
Because something I wasn't going to bring up, but I am now. All the teeth in Halo Infinite look wrong. It looks like they stuffed styrofoam in their mouth. And I just sat there and went, I've never had this problem with a Sony first-party game.
The teeth are always so immaculate in Sony first-party
I know,
games.
it's fucking weird, actually, but, at least they're real teeth. That's all I really want. Especially if you're going to make me stare at them in first person. I was pretty impressed with how fucking Marvel looks. I bought that. That is on my backlog. I'm trying to decide between Kana and that.
Yeah.
Because I'm wrapping up Deathloop. So you're enjoying Guardians so far?
Oh yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. When it's like a Western AAA style game, there's always the question of like, is it going to sacrifice feeling good for looking good?
Yes.
And they prioritize the game feeling good because they'll just let animations like pound on top, like compound in ways that don't look like they make sense.
Good.
In service of it feeling good to control.
Thank God.
And there's like a lot of stuff like you BioWare better be playing this game and taking notes for making the next Mass Effect. Because you have the ship, you can talk to your guys between the missions. It's all very similar to Mass Effect, except done way better. And instead of just making them like gimped versions of the player character, the other Guardians will be off doing their own thing. But then when their cooldown's empty, you can be like, okay, Groot, tie these guys up in your vines, and now they can't move. Now Rocket, throw your bomb. Or you can be like, Gamora, teleport behind them and cut their throat with your katana. And enemies have a stagger gauge, so you can like do different kinds of attacks on them to fill up their stagger gauge, and then they'll fall down. You can beat on them for a while. And if you do the right things, you'll get to hit triangle and do like a combo attack with a member of the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can freeze a guy, and then Drax will do a suplex on them and shatter them.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I remember there being one where it's like you hit the button at the right time, and then it's like, oh, the other Guardians staggered this robot. So now Star-Lord's going to do a bullet time. He's going to shoot a blast, and you're going to follow it all the way to it hitting the thing's skull. There's a lot of really cool stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, this is really solid. This is basically the game that everybody wanted the Avengers one to be, except it's with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, 100%. Like, I was stunned at how many unique locations this has by the end. Where it's
yeah, it's like,
Stellar.
wow, you guys can't use any of this in any other game.
Like stellar art design and like set design for all of these areas. Where I'm like,
every area is
out.
really neat and unique, and every area has wildly different and unique enemies.
It didn't feel like they reused a lot of stuff, which was impressive.
And the usage of licensed music is really good. Like, it's really great for you to be able to pop your big ultimate, and everybody gets together, and you have to pick the dialogue option that hypes everybody up, and then you get the song that Peter Quill is playing on his cassette player.
Yeah. Like, I called Dan into the room, and I'm like, check it out, Rick Roll's playing right now.
We have reached the point though where visual fidelity in games is so good that just making like the blue human alien now looks weird.
Yes.
There's like a side character in this who is Blue Ellie.
God, yes.
She looks basically exactly like Ellie, but she is blue.
Huh.
And it's like, this looks weird to see like the character with the alien blue skin tone, but she still has freckles and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And there's another character whose name is Lady Hellbender, and she's like a lighter shade of blue, and it's also very strange because she also has like very realistic skin blemishes.
Yes.
So it's just like, because in a sci-fi show, obviously that shit's makeup, so it's going to cover all that up.
Right.
But in this, they just slided the tint slider.
Right.
Yes.
So it looks very unusual.
Yeah, I was thinking about the game feel thing while I was playing Deathloop. Then I was like, man, like I don't think people take the broad view all that often of like everything with 3D until now has been a struggle. Where it's like we had to fake lighting, we're still faking lighting to some extent. We'll move into ray tracing, but the PS5 is the beginning of like the rest of it. I feel the rest of time, because it's like we're finally at a fucking point where these games can look incredible and run well, and it's like thank God, because now they feel better to play. Because the prior Arcane games from the people who made Deathloop, I was not a fan of how they felt. They felt very PC first, console later, with tons of input latency, sort of to the controller feel. Deathloop's real solid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank fucking Christ, we are doing everything in our power to just make games feel good.
Yeah, Deathloop, it got a huge bonus the whole time playing it, because wow, this feels better than I expected one of their games to feel.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Especially when you're like speeding across an environment, you're like, this is working exactly the way it should at a really good speed.
Yes. And yeah.
With Guardians, like it's really great that when I hit the button to do a punch, I'm not like magnetized to them and locked into the canned animation melee combo, which is like when you see a game that looks as good as Guardians, like you assume that will happen when you hit the melee button, because that is so many games.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Countless.
But no, it's actually more like an actual melee attack.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'll hopefully chew through that, and we'll be able to move into one of the other 7 things I have to beat before the end of December.
Thankfully, that game is under 20 hours. A nice, clean.
Yeah,
short
it's like
game.
I sat and played for like maybe 5 hours and got halfway through. So
yeah, it really doesn't take much time, especially if you're not like exploring super thoroughly. Because the only big thing is, I get some more upgrade points, or I find the really, really well hidden costumes.
And I'm also really impressed by the writing. I expected to kind of be like whatever, since Star-Lord looks like such a douchebag.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow, you're actually a really well-written, nuanced character. You get some flashbacks to like his childhood. And I'm like, how old are you supposed to be? This seems to be like 1979 and you're 13. We're in 2021, but you don't seem that old. I guess I'll just let it go, but it's very strange. And all the dialogue and performances, they did the thing that Square Enix usually does on their big games and be like, we're gonna go to people who acted on the CW and have done no voice acting. But all the voice actors are really solid, especially Drax, who is playing like Drax is a very literal character. And it's like, okay, we got to keep this quiet. And then Peter Quill turns his head and Drax is holding a guy by the hair and about to cut their throat. And he's like, no, Drax, quiet. And he goes, dead is quiet, Peter Quill.
Chilling.
He's not wrong.
I'm really enjoying this, so I'll keep plugging at it and then probably go to, I don't know. There's so many things. I could go to Halo. I could go to Psychonauts because I'm getting that Series X.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got that Series X. That's new from last week.
Mm-hmm. Congrats.
Are you interested in telling the story of how you got it, or is it just like, don't ask?
Well, they said, Wario64, who I follow on Twitter, was like, Microsoft is dropping Series X's at Walmart Plus exclusive. Free trial does not work. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. your time. And I'm like, that's early enough that most people won't wake up. And they didn't. And I got it.
Nice.
So happy for you.
That's all I got.
Oh, that's all you got. I guess it's time to talk about the Podlord.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.
Yes, that's right. The Podlords without images. Because that's hard live.
It is.
See you all.
Indeed.
It's okay. I warned them on like Monday.
Yeah, you had a warning. We're not that cruel.
Yeah. I was like, oh, fuck, that's not happening.
Podlords. Yes. That's right. The Podlords. Podlords such as Lee Broyles, Corey Brown.
Imagine.
The Podru Lords rise.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Red Blaze 27. Juice of Frost. Resurrection. Resurrected. Suzu Shiro.
Shiro means why?
Emperor Zero. Shibiagato says, thank you to my pot lord, the Elden Ring pot.
Getting that one in fast.
Pot, bro.
I'm going to read this, but you need to understand I don't know what these words mean. So here we go. Schlitten laufen für den Wind mit Mihara Padaru Padaru. Danny Richardson!
He's back!
He's back, baby.
Oh, fuck! Such ass!
The arc ended early. He's back, motherfuckers.
You should grandfather him up to the top, I'm gonna be honest with you, because him being in the middle is fucking scary.
I jumped to part 4, not realizing that part 6 came out since then, so I'm watching that instead. 101 Shades of Wonderful. Remaster. Oh, shit. Gary of Light.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Straight to the moon.
Yeah. Forge ahead.
WTF? Spider-Man.
Fortnite.
Mister. I like spam. You see, it's called Endwalker because once you disconnect, you walk to the end of the queue.
Yes, you do. Don't AFK. The limit is like 25 minutes. I learned it by talking to Dan about Halo Infinite this morning.
DFW 3K.
I just got that.
The New World server experience.
I can only imagine. Is it tumbleweed?
It's a picture of them emptying a recycling bin.
Better than seeing the actual image.
Shiny Mew live at the Game Awards 2021. Kristen. Ashire Soryo. Kaze no Yoni. Tsukimehara. Whoa. Tanburu.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh my god.
God.
God Hand. Steam Deck Edition.
Ooh.
Santi Kunai. Broke Poderoos as Christmas icons. Woke the MS-18E Comfort Xeon Heavy Assault Mobile Suit as a Christmas icon.
Holy shit.
Kyle. Bjork.
Give me that Bjork.
Zilter. No shutting up this week. Lordy played Astral Chain at her boyfriend's request. I think I need a new partner.
Dump his ass.
Oh no.
Dan Aggro. Blig de Blue. Schligdisboo.
Oh shit, I was in suspense on what he did.
Gesundheit.
Undefeated of the North Pole Santa Asia.
I already know the picture. I already know.
Monster Hunter. Ryzen and Raiden. I'm going to read it as it's written. Hashre Soryo. No use need skmara. Whoa.
Thank you.
Efficient.
Jordan. Cooper Tank. Each Gigaboy takes a 20-minute nap every 8 hours. It refreshes us, and that's why Gigaboys can stream much longer than humans.
Unsettling.
Such satisfaction was my intention.
Hell yeah.
Wink.
Thank you, Gaius.
No bit this week. Have a Foo and Travis stare down. B. N. Wow. Drive type cam. Floppy around and find out. Indigo Sykes will have finished Endwalker by now and has that song on loop. And that one too.
Yeah. All 40 of them.
Good for you guys.
Active Blizzard Management takes their coffee with sugar and breast milk.
Oh, God.
I wish I hadn't found that out.
Same.
What?
Oh, yeah. Did you put that in news?
Yeah, is that news?
I'll put it in the news right now.
Okay.
I feel like I'm receiving an urgent text message that I need to leave.
I don't know why you're saying that. Your phone is on the floor.
Evil Lucario. Clutchins. A raccoon that just passed his driving test.
Great.
Hell yeah.
My grandmother once said, "The sun is wonderful. It can even make the dirt shine." Lamu. Instead of no-lifing Final Fantasy XIV, Shinji 16 is grinding 14 key in 2DX and hopes everyone is remembering to take time for self-care. You main bikin' because you're a Coomer. I main bikin' because I hate blocking. We are not the same. I think that Podlord took it this week. Shoot this. Export that. Maria Kondenzovna Eve just wants to play Blaze Blue, for God's sake. And Virvarm. Thank you very much to our Podlords.
Thank you.
Thank you, Podlords.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to become a Podlord, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/gbpodcast. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to many benefits, such as early access to Chugging, Bleach, and Mondo Cool, our 2 anime review podcasts, extended armchair dev pitches and gamer premonitions when those shows' formats force us to leave ideas on the cutting room floor, and a Patreon-exclusive show, one per month, where you can vote on what good or bad thing we have to watch and talk about. That's patreon.com/gbpodcast. And if you don't have any money, you can always tell your friends. And if you don't have any friends, you can check out a book from the library on improving your socialization skills and making some friends, and then tell them about us. That's patreon.com/gbpodcast.
If you don't have any money, you can tell your friends, and if you don't have any friends, you can tell your money.
That's my favorite part of Big Think Dimension now, is what will Phil say as our solutions.
We have solutions.
We also have news.
We do have news. I'm going to speed run this terrible story at the beginning, which I've done my best to make funny.
Oh, okay, cool.
By doing an assessment of reality, not by phrasing it in a funny way. So, horrible news. Horrible news.
Okay.
Senior Vice President of Engineering for the PlayStation Network, George Cacioppo, anyway, was fired after getting caught by a hilariously amateur pedophile sting operation. He was caught on Grindr trying to have an intercourse with a 15-year-old boy. The reason why I call it hilariously amateur, and I was wondering, I read a news article, right? It says amateur, and I'm like, what the fuck is an amateur? Oh, yeah. Did it sting or not? Like, I feel like this is the only way. Then I watched the video. It basically comes off as that Whitest Kids You Know Abe Lincoln skit. It's like, sit your scrawny ass down. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying to watch my play. That is him on that dude's front doorstep. He's like, hey, come back out. You want to have a conversation with me or the cops? This guy wants to fuck 15-year-olds. Hey, everybody in the neighborhood. It's 4 fucking a.m. and he's just screaming this.
I do not know if this is the exact same group, but I know some other YouTubers that have done things like that. Allegedly, they immediately admitted it to these YouTubers. I don't know if it's the same group, but that seems to be a genre.
Yeah, amateur pedophile stings it's a whole hobby out there. And eventually somebody's going to get murdered doing this.
Oh, yeah.
But until that happens, it's real fucking funny.
It is real. Like, this was surreal because I read amateur and I was like, yeah, they don't have the resources or the tools, but they did it. And then I watched it and I'm like, the first minute of this 3.5-minute video, the first minute is a pre-made intro where in each one he's just like, you fucked up. Each one it's him talking to the person. He's like, you fucked up. You serious about this? You serious? You look at the camera.
You have fucked up now.
You have fucked up now. You fucked up. You haven't fucked up. Now that is basically the whole intro.
Is this their generation's Dog the Bounty Hunter?
I don't. So without any transition from that, it's a hard cut to him already in progress of walking to the house. No text, like no spoken word to explain what's happening. But then he puts the receipts hosted on Google Documents or Google Drive in the description. You could just see the chat logs and everything. And I'm like, holy shit. So this person's fired from Sony. I didn't see in any of the reporting that he was arrested. Yeah.
Probably not, because the thing with these amateur pedophile sting operations, and the reason why they should probably stop is the people they catch almost always get to go free.
Yeah.
Because just by them doing this, they like poison any potential like investigation
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is ultimately part of the reason that To Catch a Predator was shut down.
Yeah, that makes
another
sense.
part of another part of that was one of the people shooting themselves in front of the entire staff. But in addition to that, part of it was that so many people that they caught got to walk because of the show.
I forgot about that.
I didn't actually know that happened when they tried to film one.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah,
once.
That's why when South Park did the episode about To Catch a Predator, the joke was every single person who saw Chris Hansen immediately killed themselves.
Oh my god.
Yep.
I need to see that episode.
God, what a nightmare. What a fucking nightmare.
Jesus Christ.
And, I know people are erupting over this detail being absent in my news blurb over here, so I'll say it. This motherfucking 60-year-old man was at his own door wearing a PS5 shirt. A company man, even when doing this.
Phil wasn't ready for that one.
I mean, when you're hard marketing yourself to a target demographic.
Do you think the scarcity of the... Never mind. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
We're going to move on. KZ, you have news?
I do. First up, we got Epic Game Store gets a shopping cart. It's taken them like over 2 years to... I think it's been at least 2 years. It's 2 or 3. They announced it at the Game Awards. They announced the store.
It's been a fucking while.
They announced the store at the Game Awards one year, whenever they announced Hades as well.
Yeah.
Geoff Keighley quoted the announcement tweet with, "This was a rejected world premiere." Where he's like,
and after watching that show, I'm like, you should have let this one in and cut one of those others.
So I thought that was hilarious. It's cool.
World premiere.
They have a cart.
Hi, I'm Tim Sweeney. Check this out. I'm gonna check. He does it like a bad YouTube video. So it's got like a music at the beginning, and then he just sounds like an 8-year-old recording on his built-in mic. And he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna check out for 2 items at once. Okay, here we go."
What up, y'all? It's your boy Tim Sweeney. Back at it again with another video where I buy 2 video games at once.
Let's see if we can do it.
Fucking Nintendo's over here like, "Gee, Tim Sweeney, how come you get to buy 2 video games?"
What a fucking mistake.
I can't handle the fact that you're making a better trailer than the one they already made, because this came with a trailer showing them putting things in the...
And I'm sure that trailer was exactly what they were going to show at the Game Awards. And I bet if they did what I was talking about, they could have gotten in.
It had a production value where I'm like, yeah, Geoff making this joke, that's probably real. They probably thought that could be a pop.
They would have submitted that. Like you've seen Geoff Keighley's face. The kind of dead stare of which he is capable.
Oh, yeah. No, he has an icy stare when he wants to.
I cannot imagine trying to submit baseline functionality to a years-old storefront as a pop trailer. Just being obliterated.
Tim Sweeney's like, well... that Final Fantasy VII remake's coming over here, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't think he made that."
No, but it's on the Epic Game Store.
I mean, can you imagine the years of life fucking Geoff Keighley took off of Angry Joe with that stare?
Holy shit!
Like a fucking ring wraith.
That's why it still looks so young, and Angry Joe's just melting.
Jesus Christ. Well, that's my first piece of news.
Okay, well, thank you for the good news.
Next up, we got a couple of fighting game things because CEO happened. We've got BlazBlue Cross Tag and Central Fiction are getting rollback. Cross Tag gets it on both PS4 and Steam. And Central Fiction gets it for Steam only. The Steam beta for Central Fiction's rollback's already up, so people can already
hopefully
check that out.
It's just the beta for Central Fiction, and they will be rolling it out to consoles once they work it out a little bit more.
It's hard to take a purview around them. Their purview's limited by the fact their head's up their own ass. So, like, maybe at some point they can lodge themselves out and go, "Hey, we should stop punishing our fucking..."
We have a very good metric for how much their heads are up their ass, considering what was announced at the Game Awards. We have, like, the one metric that will be yes, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, I'll just say it now, since they confirmed Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, the suplex hold, is coming to modern platforms. They have not confirmed rollback.
No, they haven't.
I plan to buy it, and if their answer is ever no, I will not.
That's pretty much it. Like, it functionally will not. We have reached the point where you not having rollback is a non-starter for your game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, please play our game. No, you didn't finish it.
Yeah, that's the point it's at.
Delay-based netcode is unfinished, 100%. The other piece of fighting game news we have is the next Guilty Gear Strive DLC character is Baiken, coming in late January.
I can't believe Bob missed this like big thing where this gets announced.
Yep. The first thing I saw was a really great tweet of in the same way Baiken uses one arm, the players of Baiken also only use one arm.
See, the comments I saw around the time was Baiken's never going to ship with a Guilty Gear game again because they know you fuckers will buy her.
Oh yeah, immediately it was like she's either DLC set 1 or 2 to get the Coomer audience in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the chick with the katana and the giant.
Yes,
okay.
the giant.
So I didn't know if the one-handed thing was like a face roll easy character joke or in fact a joke about masturbation while playing a fighting game.
I can confirm it is that second one.
Because I mean, like, while I am not myself attracted to men or the masculine form, I'm pretty sure that I could beat most people in Soul Calibur 2 by playing Raphael.
That's true.
While jacking it.
Yeah, you only need one hand to just keep stabbing.
I mean, yeah, that's the same way that I would play Eddie Gordo in Tekken, and I would also be able to jack off and just 2 buttons, just cycling.
Keep hating.
You know,
it's not my fault you guys don't know how to block low.
What? I like Eddie Gordo.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm used to taking shit for liking to play Eddie Gordo.
Oh,
from fuckers who pick Mishimas and Lars and.
I have no idea who he's talking about.
Now, Lars is cool, but I also really like Eddie Gordo.
Who do you pick, Phil?
Lily.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Really good addition for Dark Resurrection. Dark Resurrection's so fucking good. Jesus Christ.
They added her in Dark Resurrection?
Yeah. Lily's added in that. So is Dragunov. And a couple
okay.
others. They're really strong additions.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's exciting. I was surprised because I saw like DLC data mine leaks of what the roster would be, and it was right for 2 or 3 of them in a row, and they're like, oh no, there's a new one, and that had the actual set. I'm like, oh okay, because I was shocked that she got in.
You can always change that. They can always change the order of shit, and I bet they do if shit leaks. They're like, let's just move these around.
Yeah, because the first one I saw, I was like, the next one's probably gonna be Jam, and then they're like, no, Big Titty. I'm like, oh okay. My last piece of news is something we got toward the end of last week. Sony planning a new subscription service codenamed Spartacus.
Real quick, before we dive into it, people only after, like, I read it and I'm like, that's a weird code name. And then later it's like, no, it's the I Am Spartacus thing. Like, they are also Game Pass. I'm like, no, fuck you.
No.
Are you fucking serious? Like
that sounds made up.
No,
that sounds like something we would do.
Dude, honestly, normally their names make more sense. Like Vitas Orbe, right? Like the Vita, Circle of Life. Then these code names like Morpheus VR thing, King of Dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neo.
Then you get to this, and this was the first code name I heard from Sony in a while where I went, Spartacus, that seems fucking weird. What are you gonna do? Go full Intel and start naming your shit after lakes? Like, how's this gonna go? But yeah, no, that fucks me up. Anyways, give us the deets on Spartacus. I tried to stream last Friday. Bob's sick. I'm solo, and people go, you know they announced this? And I'm like, no, because I woke up and barely got a stream started.
Yes.
What the fuck happened?
It's on you.
What the fuck happened?
So they're likely keeping the PlayStation Plus like branding. So I imagine it's gonna be like PS Plus with like a tier next to it or something like that.
PS double plus good.
Yeah. PS Plus bronze or something.
PS Plus Magnum.
We're looking at a 3-tier system where it seems like the lowest tier is going to be all the features of PS Plus, as well as PlayStation Now just merging with that. And the Bloomberg report suggesting that the highest tier is going to include being able to play PS1, 2, and PSP games. through which method, I do not know.
Yeah, I really don't like the concept of I need a subscription to play old games. That's insane. Because I'm okay with buying games that are old, like at full price. But it feels gross.
The hope would be that tier. The hope would be the PS1 and PS2 games you could buy, and some PSP games. I can't imagine it being all of them, but some of them that you could still buy digitally, like back on the PS3, are now just added, and you can now play them on PS5.
Yes, that would be the hope.
And those are rolled into some of those are rolled into the subscription service.
Yeah.
The merging PS Plus and PS Now, assuming there isn't a fucking price hike to go with it, is just objectively giving everybody more stuff. Like, you're just getting more for nothing. Yeah. No additional money, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be good from that angle. Casey, did this leak have what the middle tier would be?
No, as far as I know, like I'm not paying Bloomberg, and the only thing people have ever said is just there's going to be an ability to do this to play these games. They're merging those two services. There are 3 tiers.
Yeah, I also think it's insane from the perspective of people are pointing out, like, they don't say that it's locally playing those back-compat titles either.
Yeah, we have no information on it, so a lot of people are like, what if it's streaming it or something? Just in general, people keep saying it's like, this is it. It's the big Game Pass response, and I'm like, it's never going to be a real Game Pass response because they're never going to put their first-party titles in a service like that where you just get access to them.
Not a chance.
And or do that day one thing. There's never going to be an equivalent of that, because then that would mean they would lose out on the fact that they can launch a Horizon and sell well over 10 million $60 games,
right.
$70 on
$70.
PS5. Yeah, $70 on PS5. There's this. They're not going to leave that money on the table.
Right. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, I just played Halo Infinite. I'm fine with that. Right? If you having to sell me a game at $60 or $70 is the way I can keep assured that Wolverine will be done.
Yeah.
That Spider-Man 2 will be done. That these things will be high quality,
I forgot
good.
about Wolverine.
Yeah,
dude, Sony's offerings are so exciting for the next year and in the future.
The thing about making products to sell people is that people will buy them.
Yeah, that's normally how this is supposed to work. They're not supposed to be your new, like, wallet roommate. Or they just take some money out every month.
I've been so angry and confused for the last 2 years watching Microsoft decide they've made enough games to deserve people paying them for the rest of eternity.
But it's okay, because they will continue to make games.
They kind of stopped for a while.
They did stop for a while, and then they launched Game Pass, and they still didn't start up, but now they announced a bunch of games, and we're praying to God that they shipped them.
Like we did at E3, where it was nothing but like, we're totally going to make more games and franchises we own. We forgot to do it for a year.
I know Game Pass is incredibly popular. I know it's like the big thing. But I haven't seen a single person look at that fact that you can play these old games on a higher tier of a paid online membership and not go, Nintendo just did that. They're just doing that.
Yeah.
Nintendo did that with Genesis and N64, and PlayStation's cribbing that with their back catalog.
Yeah. That's the thing. We ended up here at paying for online because of Microsoft and then Sony and then Nintendo. Mm-hmm. This is the same fucking thing where it's just we're going to end up getting worse and worse because no one's actually challenging each other. What were you going to say, Phil?
I was going to say, the only way this isn't a crippling misreading of the room by Sony is if it's like I said, where it's like, we're bringing this stuff for you to buy, and it's just also in this higher tier if you just want to try them. Because there are a lot of babies who did not exist when the PS2 and PS1 and PSP were things.
Right. Yeah.
And they might be like, okay, I'll pay $15 a month and have access to a bunch of these games and try them.
And that's a reasonable offering. Just like if the Series S had a disk drive, it would be a reasonable offering, right?
I like
when you can remove one element of a thing, it just makes me go, this is a really bad proposition.
I did love how my timeline immediately just walled when this announced with, oh, wow, they're doing that shitty thing Nintendo did. If this is streaming, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, right. If this is native,
if it's streaming, it just doesn't exist at all.
Yeah, if this is a native thing, I'll upgrade to that tier. If it's not, then there's no real reason for me to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, the only way I'm going to feel really genuinely positive about this is if they also offer those games for sale.
Yeah.
Because, and I said this many times in the past, the point of owning things is so that way when your income or life or other things in general get worse and start to really suck, you have things to fall back on at all, either to sell or to play in perpetuity, to enjoy, to get you through shit.
Mm-hmm.
Some people view the way life is supposed to go as the same way people view success, where it's just like you start here and then it just keeps getting better, baby.
Woo, Wig history is applied to a personal narrative. It's so effective. Nothing can go wrong.
So hopefully they'll do that. Hopefully they'll allow it for sale and do that. But I think there are many people, like, Phil was saying, they were really young. Maybe they just don't remember this shit. Of course, I would love a sampler platter, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't need a sampler platter every month forever if I want to play these games.
Yeah,
like trying to sell a Zoomer God Hand that's a big ask. Maybe let them try before they buy.
Basically, Kamiya has to come to your house and be Segata Sanshiro and just beat you up. It's Kamiya because he'll do that. He would love to. Mm-hmm. He would love to viciously assault you for not playing God Hand.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that God Hand should be part of the national curriculum.
Yeah,
you are correct.
You'll run into a random Zoomer that's like on this service now, and they're like, "What is this? What is a siphon filter?"
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. No one's actually a fan of that. The one guy that I thought was a fan of that also lied to me about being into SOCOM.
Oh, I remember that. I remember you telling this story. That was fucked up.
So I'm starting to doubt he's even played a PlayStation. He's like, actually, sorry, Dan, I lied. I actually haven't even played Silent Hill. And I'm like, how did you know all that stuff then? And he's like, I watched a YouTube Let's Play. And I'm like, James, the year is 2002. What do you mean you watched a YouTube Let's Play?
My cover is blown.
Leaps into the portal.
There's a hole here. It's gone now.
Why didn't you stop him, Dan? I tried, but then he time traveled away. Damn it!
Into a better plot of Halo Infinite.
That's it for KZ's new. Hey, Bob.
Sup?
Do you have news?
You tell me, handsome.
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. I feel like I would have been briefed on that.
Don't worry,
I would hope.
The fighting game news would have went into Bob, so we're clear.
We now go to Mr. Field.
I want katana mommy milkers. Is that?
Good job. You're exactly like Bob. He's definitely said that all the time.
Yeah, Bob's like, moo milkies.
That's him. You nailed it. I wish Bob was left less horny on content. It's insufferable.
That's one of the qualities. Bob, your libido.
Puzzle game One Shot is coming to consoles next year. This game's a couple years old. The news story called it a puzzle game, but it's not really. It's more just like an adventure game that has like some puzzle elements, but is mostly you reading dialogue. I enjoyed it quite a lot. When I played it a couple years ago on PC. I'm actually kind of curious how they're going to do it on consoles, because it's one of those things where they get mad quirky. Mm-hmm. And it's like to get through this maze, you have to go to this folder I created in your documents folder, and pull up an image and overlay it over the game window so you can see which door is the right door. So I do wonder how they will deal with that. I imagine they will just make something a little bit different.
Yeah, either alter the puzzles or put a whole PC environment into the game.
That would be funny.
It's Linux. Oops, it actually hooks into the PlayStation 4's OS. We have now been banned.
It's like that time I had to run Windows 95 and DOSBox just so I could boot Riven.
That makes me feel better that was the anecdote, and somehow this didn't veer into that one time Dan told me 64-bit Windows was fine for my 64-bit CPU in 2005. I'm like, I'm sorry, every tech website it somehow glossed over the fact it was a nightmare.
Would you like this to run in your system? Yes. Too bad.
Fuckers.
So Tales of Crestoria, one of the 45 mobile games celebrating the legacy of the Tales of franchise, is shutting down.
Yes.
Bamco doesn't seem to realize that this is preemptively executing Tales of Luminaria, or whatever the fuck the new one is called.
Yeah, they did. They put out a new one. This one has existed for about 2 years. They immediately dumped it. People I know that worked for like RPG site went, yeah, this game didn't show up at all at TGS. So the writing was on the wall. They're just killing that. They get what they can and immediately kill it. Like, it's crazy.
It's like you can't sell people micro gotcha transactions if they think you're not going to exist in a year and a half. That doesn't really work out at all. What is wrong with you? But moving on. The next Skullgirls character is Black Dahlia, and after that it's Umbrella.
Hell yes.
With Umbrella coming mid 2022 or early 2020, like spring, like I presume like April or May.
Cool.
Then when is it going to be Brian Battler?
We're so close.
He's already in the game, Aggro.
Which one is he? Is he Beowulf?
He might be, yeah.
Because I didn't want to think Brian Battler was big band.
Yeah.
Fair.
So a Chrono Cross remaster got leaked, which everybody was like, which we knew because it was in that huge NVIDIA leak.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, this mobile game is crossing over with Chrono Cross.
Yeah.
And then some news site was like, it's crossing over in honor of the new remaster that hasn't been announced yet. We shouldn't have said that. Oops.
Yeah, there's some metadata that had to immediately get expunged for that. This mobile game is crossing over with is seemingly trying to be a Chrono-esque game because it has a bunch of characters from it. The original composer did the theme song and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So it actually kind of makes a little sense that they specifically chose that one. I forget. It's something Eden is the name of that mobile game.
Yeah, I never expect, it looks like chat's saying, another Eden.
Yes,
Okay.
That's it.
I never expect there to be reasons like that for a crossover. So that's pretty cool to be like, there's some DNA here.
And it's not like a temporary thing. They're like, you'll just have this forever. Like these characters, the scenario that they made in it. So I think that's good, especially compared to like you'll get a Fortnite where it's like, it's here and now it's gone in 2 weeks.
Yes.
It's like, I don't think you can do that in a JRPG.
Yeah.
Get to level 100
Yeah,
of the secret dungeon.
a lot of gacha games are better than Fortnite is about that stuff. Like, I think even in Grand Blue Fantasy, you can like, if you do it while it's up, you have to do it while it's up. But once you do, you can like replay the Love Live story as much as you want.
Yeah.
The Love Live story that is like that gives you a big prompt. Change your character to female before doing this.
That's funny.
Go ahead.
I'm not I haven't played Chrono Cross. Everything I've heard about it turns me off a little bit, but I will try this remaster if and when it, is announced or whatever, because I have not played it, and I would like to at least give it a try because I've listened to its main theme song dozens upon dozens of times.
Incredible soundtrack.
so I need to at least give it a shot off the goodwill of that song.
Yeah.
It's one of those games. It's like, presentation wise, this is sick, but you went off the goop in every other aspect of this game.
I was going to ask you, Phil, you've beaten Chrono Trigger, right?
Yeah.
Have you played Illusion of Gaia? The Fat Casey's laughing may explain to the audience.
I beat it.
Okay, so you beat Illusion of Gaia. I saw the end of Illusion of Gaia for the first fucking time the other day as Retro Island Gaming played it, and I'm like, I need to look up when Chrono Trigger came out for like compared to this, because I guess Japan for a few years there was really hot on the there's a term for it, but the concept of comets that are sentient going out into the universe and doing transpermia or whatever it's called.
Directed panspermia?
Yes, directed, that sort of thing. Because those games eventually just end up being, we're the same idea. And I'm like, what are you? What?
That was a really big idea in the 90s. It wasn't just a Japanese thing. I remember like my dad who has a biology degree and got it like right in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about that idea a lot.
It's a really neat idea. I didn't see it come up in that many video games, so it's really weird to see two Super NES JRPGs within 2 years of each other both go, the ending is, and I'm like, what? Illusion of Gaia, I had no idea you were going this way. This game's been so dark and about human stories.
And like real life locations.
Yeah, like we went to Egypt and this other place, and someone was really sad and killed themselves. And I'm like, holy shit, this is gritty. And then they're like, by the way.
Turn into the super powerful energy monster and shoot phoenixes at the final boss.
Yes.
Yeah, all you talking about it is it reminded me that I went through Illusion of Gaia like a few years ago and went, man, some of these later levels suck a lot.
Yeah,
they do.
Watching the shit Rig had to do to get through a dungeon was like, you needed to know to stand on this step, transform into this monster, and drop through the ground to begin the dungeon.
Because you constantly have to go into the dark zone to like transform into Freedan, the cool Chad guy, instead of the stupid child, to be able to like do certain things on the map, and the maps are like these like labyrinths.
Yeah, and it's a very strange too in the structure of the labyrinth. But that game seems really cool. I'm never gonna beat it.
Yeah, I was like, I'll do it just because it's you, Quintet. Just once though.
I'll do every other Quintet game. I feel like I'm good with that. I could do.
You know what? That's fair. I did it for you.
Yeah. So you don't have to.
Virtua Fighter 5 is getting a Yakuza costume set, and I'm like, I mean, you can't get that game for free anymore, Sega. Ain't nobody be buying this. Like,
yeah,
I'm remember that thing about how you didn't finish your game because there's not rollback netcode. Considering that you have apartheid netcode, like this isn't going to be working out.
And that bad audio shit.
I didn't even know about that.
Oh yeah. It's got some. It has some of the most aggressive compression pumping, and that is actually the technical term. It has the most egregiously obnoxious pumping in a video game I've played in the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. God, yeah, I guess that was an early PS3 problem, so 15 years.
Ubisoft did a fucky wucky and decided to launch Ubisoft Quartz, their new NFTs inside Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Hell yeah, you can check those out, Phil. You own it.
Including such things as the M4A1 tactical rifle, the Wolf Enhanced Elm Helmet A, and the Wolf Enhanced Pants. And then they put a YouTube video up of this that got dislike bombed so hard that they took it down.
Which is funny because they've disabled the dislike bar on YouTube. They like hide it. So they just felt shame on their side to be able to do that.
Also all the comments were like ratio plus you're white.
Yeah, stuff like that. A lot of people may be shocked, like, why did they choose Ghost Recon Breakpoint? Why didn't they choose a big popular game? They don't want to do that to that game. Ghost Recon Breakpoint was bad, in some ways unfinished, and was one of the most pathetic Ubisoft releases in recent memory. So, of course, they're going to put it on that as a test bed instead of ruining the reputation of an upcoming game or putting it in Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh yeah, that like people love Rainbow Six Siege. If they did that like actually could cost them money.
Yeah.
Like what are people gonna do about this? Not continue to not buy Ghost Recon Breakpoint?
Continue to not buy the skull credits?
There's some motherfucker at Ubisoft. You know there is. I know this human exists, but they're like, thank God YouTube removed the ability to see dislikes. It's time. And then someone went,
executive.
You know there's a plugin. There's an extension. We can all see your ass.
Yes. I need to finally install that plugin. That Chrome extension.
It's not skull credits because that sounds like anything that would make sense. It is skell credits because that's their terminology they made up.
You know what I hate? Awesome. You will always know what those are.
Yeah, I will. I will until the day I die.
As I understand it, they're not even as... like, they're worse than regular NFTs.
That's what I hear, yeah.
They did a lot of wording to brag about how energy saving it is compared to normal NFTs.
To quickly explain everything I know, or at least I've heard, and it matches up with what everyone's saying about it. The whole point of using a blockchain is that's decentralized. This is a centralized blockchain, so it's but guys,
yes, the way it was explained to me is that the only reason that because the blockchain is decentralized, the way it effectively keeps credibility is by massively wasting resources. And so if it's central, so the only way to make it use less energy is to centralize it, which defeats what people claim is the point of NFTs and cryptocurrency. Which by the way, what they say is the point of cryptocurrency still isn't true, because every time any government body sneezes in the vicinity of cryptocurrency, everything loses 20%.
Oh yeah.
So the notion of it being independent was always fake.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's just a bunch of people who have a giant heart on for being free men on the open road.
Yeah, which so since this is they have it on a specific blockchain thing, it has to be in this one thing.
Yeah, and I understand.
So there's no reason for it to be a blockchain thing.
Ubisoft isn't running it themselves. As I understand it, they're using someone else's centralized. So they outsourced.
So they're not responsible if that goes down or gets hacked. They are.
Oh yeah, they
you
already
cannot be refunded for any of this shit.
They already have language all over that shit.
It is the Telos blockchain, I believe.
Yeah. There's so many layers of, you didn't even do this right for NFT crypto bros.
They're just selling normal shitty microtransaction items and adding blockchain so they can tell their executives or their shareholders that they're doing blockchain shit.
Yes. Look, they have a gun with a unique serial ID.
Oh.
That means something. You know, this would even begin...
I liked the take that Penny Arcade had about it, which is so if NFTs are like a digital thing you outright own, can you sell me the game as that, so I own the game I bought from you digitally? And then it's just
no.
And then it's just the Ubisoft guys puking.
Holy shit,
that's funny as shit. What I was gonna say is I feel like this doesn't even make sense as a game to do this on. It only makes sense from the, level KZ was mentioning earlier of they don't give a shit about this game. But the sort of game it makes way more sense for, in a sense, is something like a PlayStation Home, a Second Life, something like that, where you're trying to simulate that aspect of it a little. I still think the whole thing's fucking insane.
Yeah.
And makes, no, this shouldn't exist. But if it were to exist as, when we did... tips were for something and bits were against it for one stream ever, where we would just manually move the meter. It's a philosophically interesting thing to work through, right? This concept of we're simulating life. Let's simulate quantities, limited quantities of things, and have them have numbers and things, because it gives it an idea of this thing isn't just some digital thing. It exists to some extent in our user's brain. That'll convince them of that.
Tell time.
It should be that sort of game.
Yeah, when EVE Online announces they're doing some cracked out NFT shit, I'll be on board to see that garbage fire.
Right.
Yes, because someone will lose $200 million when their capital ship gets blown up by an ambush.
Yep.
Exactly.
This is that we were talking about that earlier on my stream.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wanted to understand this Ubisoft thing more. I tried to make it through their documentation, but it's all shit embrace the uniqueness of your digit and stand out while...
I'm not showing you my digit.
We have a title.
And it's stand out while blending in. And I'm undergoing brain paralysis.
Yeah, I've heard their FAQ on this is amazing.
Thank you, Phil, so much for getting our title. I cannot understand
what you are saying.
I'm gonna put my digit into my vernacular.
Buy a girl a drink first.
Let's talk about two Blizzard things. Let's talk about the more horrible one first.
Okay.
Awesome.
It came out in that Blizzard stuff. that came out in that Blizzard stuff that people had been stealing breast milk from the company fridges for years.
So it came out in the way that was like, all their fridges have locks on them, and people are like, that's weird. All they keep in there is beer. And then it's like, oh, it's because there's breast milk in there, and someone will just go, that's mine now.
Num 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 num.
Me want milky.
Like we could have done a gamer premonitions episode about what's gonna come out next from this lawsuit.
Oh god, I'm so glad none of us had that idea.
And it would not have been this bad.
Yeah, no, it would have been raced to the bottom, but we never would have seen that signpost. We never would have stopped to say, "Oh,
see the reason that I couldn't have possibly predicted this is because I would have just assumed that if you got pregnant, you're fired."
I mean, that is an element of this.
Yeah, this is insane. When I saw this hit, I'm like, this is new? I almost linked it to Phil and went, did we go over this? Is this like old news? Is it really still happening? Are we still finding new things?
Activision's such a giant pile of shit. I feel at this point, this segment will live for the next year.
Yeah, well, we're going to be crawling through this wreckage forever.
This is like when we talked about Anthem for like a month and a half.
Yes.
And we're like, man,
times literally 10.
That was our first long surviving story. And now this one is Activision is the worst. Even worse than you could ever realize.
Well, you know, a lot of people don't realize this about the development of Anthem, but they didn't have breast milk drinking in the game until an executive came in.
Yes. Yeah, Andrew Wilson came in and said that was the best part of the vertical slice you showed me. I'm going to need that breast milk by E3.
That was the best part of my visit when I stole that from your fridge, so that's going to need to be in this game. God, fucking nightmare.
Now we have to talk about something very unfortunate.
We have to talk
about World of Warcraft lore.
That's really rough. There's got to be a good reason, right?
Oh God, I was hoping to dodge this.
Yes, there is a good reason. I'm going to make this very clear. I would not dream of bringing this up unless it was exactly as bad as it was.
Yes.
Now, this is going to spoil World of Warcraft patch 9.2. So if you care about that, feel free to tab out.
I thought I was stretching with if you care about the story for Halo Infinite.
I mean, there's a lot of people that care about 14's story, so this is another MMO, so clearly people should care.
I have been catching hints about what this is all week, and I really hope I'm wrong.
So in Warcraft, there is a character named Sylvanas Windrunner. She is a high elf ranger. In a Warcraft 3 map, she is killed by Arthas after he becomes a Death Knight, and she is risen as a banshee. And then some bullshit happens, and she gets a corporeal body back and becomes the leader of the Forsaken, which is the player faction of Undead in World of Warcraft. And then for 17 years, she does war crimes. She does war crimes for 17 years.
Mm-hmm. Girl boss at all costs.
Yep.
Yeah, girl boss put it on a shirt.
Then in Shadowlands, she's like, I'm scared shitless of dying because I died once and came back and found out I was going to hell. So I'm going to get rid of death as a concept. And that's what Shadowlands is about. Basically, she rips open like the veil between the afterlife and real life and normal life. And then a bunch of shit happens. Anyway, in the most recent patch, they're like, she's the only person who knows how to get to the jailer, who is the villain of Shadowlands, and whatever. Pretend he's the forgotten one from Castlevania. They're effectively the same character.
I'm in the fucking basement. Is Walter there? Hello? Let me out, please.
So they're like, we have to heal her fractured soul so we can get info from her so she'll wake up from this whatever fucking bad thing happened. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So then we find out, ever since she died, which was at the end of the one map in Warcraft 3 she appears in, ever since she died way back then, she has her soul was fractured and evil Sylvanas was in control for the whole time. Effectively every single moment of screen time we have seen of her in the entire 18 years of this character's existence. So then she gets healed, and it's implied she is now a completely different character, and the character she was for 18 years has been effectively erased.
I saw a lot of people pushing. They were saying like this thing they're doing in Shadowlands is the culmination of so much story, because they're like the jailers engineering all the bad things or something. So learning this, and I'm like, if I was a fan of World of Warcraft and more on, if I liked this character, I would probably cry.
To whom it may concern. Fuck you.
Usually when a character's written really badly, you're like, oh, damn, that sucks. But at least I have all this old stuff that I liked.
So yeah, her entire fucking character arc about like rebelling against the Lich King and pulling free and being her own person. Nope.
No, that was evil.
Evil soul control the whole time.
That was the evil soul control.
And it's worth noting that the writer currently, the lead narrative designer of World of Warcraft, is really weird about this character.
I was going to say writer's strong. Lead narrative designer. That's what this fucker
is. Because the lead narrative designer is also the one who's like, I'm going to self-insert as her boyfriend.
Which episode of Powerpuff Girls are we talking about?
Which one is this?
I love Blossom.
Like, there's this undead guy who's really badass named Nathanios Blightcaller. I'm gonna bullshit this reason to give him a human body that looks like me. And now he's her second in command.
There are supposed to be people supervising a project as big as World of Warcraft. This isn't supposed to happen.
No. They seemingly don't play their own game, okay? That's the only vibe I get from WoW players are, this is an awful content treadmill. You can pay for literally every achievement in the game, and nothing is balanced well, as if there is no play testing at all.
Like the ship is on fire and sinking. I've got to stop being surprised every time another little explosion goes off.
It's not sinking. People are playing in Atlantis.
Like, see, and again, I wouldn't have brought this up at all if it wasn't like Other M and Third Birthday are bad.
Yes.
Narratively.
Yes, narratively.
But they don't reach back in time and ice pick lobotomy those characters and all their other appearances.
Oh my god.
Like, the end of Other M isn't you looking at copies of Super Metroid and Zero Mission fading out of reality.
Yeah, this is crazy. There have been times where it's like, oh, this character went in a direction I wouldn't necessarily like. But I have the old things I liked where they're this way. And the idea
nothing has ever
just
gone, that character was fake. They were never real. They were always some weird thing. We have to delete it. And the thing is, Blizzard keeps fucking doing this.
It's this
because they did this to fucking Kerrigan in StarCraft. Because in StarCraft 1, at the end of StarCraft 1, Kerrigan is like the unbelievably powerful Queen of Blades, leader of the Zerg, and fucking Jim Raynor is like, I will find you and kill you for what you have done. And then in the first StarCraft 2, it ends with him like bridal carrying her out with all the Zerg burned off her, so now she's hot lady again.
Yep. Always got to reset to hot lady.
There's this really weird obsession that's really hacky where we need to make the new thing really important.
Mm-hmm.
So we will bend over backwards to make it more important than anything that happened in the past. But this is like a more insane version of that where they just ruin the past.
I mean, if you wanted to self-insert fuck a Windrunner's sister, like, I think there's a third one left. Or you could go to space and cuck that one Alliance guy. Like, there were other ways to do this.
God.
Yeah, everything I've heard about the recent story, because I watch people that have like reacted or talked about stuff in the WoW community, is they're like, man, this character's been continuously ruined for the past like 2 years. So hearing that it's like the final form has been reached.
I honestly, I checked out when Vol'jin died. That's when I stopped giving a shit.
It kind of feels like the transition and stuff that Halo has gone through, but they have to juggle 30 characters or 40 characters instead of
I mean, like World of Warcraft writing after at a point, like, because they've run out of stuff from Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
Like they're out. They ran out like in Legion is when they ran out because they literally resolved the super antagonist that was implied to exist in Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
That you never actually saw in Legion.
Mm-hmm.
So now they've degraded into everything has to be the proper noun.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I fucking hate the proper noun so much.
What could be worse than the swarm? The proper noun.
I'm still mad about the banished.
That's fair.
And that was a little bomb that came in way too late because that's just been a normal thing for a bit.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's all our news, right?
Now we can move into the Game Awards.
Oh fuck!
Dun, 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 dun.
I'll go down this list for us.
Sure.
I took the note. Babylon's Fall is coming out March 3rd. That's bad. You're doomed.
The end.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to go
worse
well.
Balan Wonderworld. Balan Wonderworld functioned more than this. I told them, I'm like, if that comes out between February and April, I'm gonna scream, and then I screamed when it said March.
Yeah.
Yep.
We already talked about Persona 4. Evil West got shown again. It looks good. It looks like a weird gun version of God of War 2018, sort of, with like the same over the shoulder being real close to the back. You're juggling guys.
Mm-hmm. You're covered in shit that looks interesting.
Got the electricity effect I always love of seeing every single bone.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a Dark Watch energy.
KZ's like, I love Home Alone 2 so much.
I know Dan does.
What is this weapon you just unleashed there? Is there a history of you just lying about Dan's likes?
Could you imagine how weird that history would have to be if it existed?
We saw Hellblade 2 and they lied about it being gameplay because I don't fucking believe that was gameplay. Nothing about that looked like gameplay.
Even if you hit buttons in the middle of that, I think we can argue it's not gameplay.
I mean, I felt like they wiped out, like, whenever she went to aim the spear, I'm like, that's when it is. That's where the loop for the button prompt is.
Hit the button.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? You hear this stuff about, like, Naughty Dog trailers sometimes for, like, The Last of Us 1 or 2. You hear this sort of thing for God of War, even, the reboot, that it's not real gameplay, it's super scripted. And those ended up really close, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of differences to what the gameplay ultimately ended up being.
Yeah.
And that's pretty gameplay-y. This is also going to end up pretty close to what the gameplay is going to be. And it's not going to be very gameplay-y. Yep. It's going to be very 7th gen, you are doing this segment this way or dying.
Now, Dan, maybe I don't remember Hellblade right.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't all the supernatural shit metaphorical?
So here's the thing. As an allegory on a plot level, they are trying to say it's metaphorical. And there are visual reveals that also try to be like, this is metaphorical. It's in her head and metaphorical. But then they greenlit a sequel.
But then they're like, Microsoft said we have to make God of War.
Yeah,
we have to make God of War and a Naughty Dog style game at the same time,
which is really unfortunate.
We need our prestige narrative blockbuster video game.
I was really hoping the first time I saw this game that it would look much more like a game and that it would introduce something that would buck this idea that it is the most 7th gen core game possible. Like you would see a city or interact in interesting ways with things. Instead, it's somebody in a third-person camera attached to the ground, not interacting with the environment in any interesting way, running through a series of like very, very scripted events to fight a monster that clearly will have a way to kill it that you need to do exactly right, or you will fail this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that is honestly the worst thing they could have shown me, because
it was
yeah,
as bad.
How am I supposed to know if they improved the combat from the last one, from what they fucking showed? All she did was throw javelins.
Yeah, all it was like
it did nothing.
A set piece. It does is inspire me to feel like, because it's an Unreal Engine 5 game, because they said that they would do that after they already announced the game 6 months prior, that they don't even have the core combat in any way, shape, or form in a state that they can show it in a trailer. So they just kind of picked something else.
Yeah, and like two things real quick. One, this is officially the first Unreal Engine 5 game ever shown off, because it's definitely gameplay. Two, man, this looks nothing like that fucking trailer that was in Engine. Maybe everyone should have done their journalistic duty and pointed out that was a pre-rendered video that they were trying to imply that game would look anything like, because that's not okay that everyone just went, well, Microsoft said it's in Engine. It's the most gorgeous video game ever fucking imagined, even, let alone made.
I mean, yeah, every single time you got a trailer for any of those Sony exclusives you mentioned, people were immediately trying to debunk the reality of those games. I feel like
people debunked the Unreal 5 reveal.
Yes, 100%. They tried to do that.
People were like, fucking some Epic employee played a video of the demo on a laptop, and people claimed that was native on the laptop.
Yes,
and debunking.
I do remember that.
Holy shit! Yeah, I do remember that. That was insane.
Yeah, that was absolutely bonkers. And that's the thing. I'm okay with that skepticism, because there are elements of like The Last of Us 2 and other Sony exclusives, really just The Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog specifically. They're pretty bad about this. That you can't necessarily slide in the exact way Ellie did in these moments, and you can't do these things, but the gameplay ends up really close to that. The environments are in the game but moved around and changed because it's been years since they showed that off.
Puddlegate.
So going through that whole the Game Awards trailer 2 years ago and listening to nobody, not even Digital Foundry, point out that is clearly a fucking pre-rendered video. Admittedly, they did it in the most polite, tongue-in-cheek way, where Alex Battaglia, I think, was like, wow, I've never seen a video game that has no aliasing of any type, temporal or otherwise, and also not a single jaggy. Like, from a modeling perspective, it's literally a flawless video. This is very impressive if this is in Engine. I'm like, they make music videos in Unreal Engine. Like, The Mandalorian's made in Unreal Engine.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to sit here and pretend that means dick.
Yeah.
But yeah, this trailer, very unimpressive.
I think about other upcoming Xbox games, like Redfall, like Avowed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if they show me a trailer for that, I'll be interested. This was the most boring first-party title trailer I've seen in maybe the last 5 years. It was gray nothing. The only thing they had was, she has people around her now.
This has like real 2011 energy.
It does.
I was so badly hoping they're like, me and Phil were talking about, it's like, they're not going to show combat, are they? I'm like, maybe one sword parry. That was my standard. He's like, I would take it. And we didn't even get that.
No.
We just threw spears, and only one time it did anything useful, because they did the Bloodborne, like, combo of putting, like, an oil urn on the dude before setting him on fire.
Right. And it's like,
she throws a spear, and as soon as it makes contact, it pops out.
Mm-hmm. That's his horrible monster power. He deloads spears.
He deloads spears and does not react to hits.
So this trailer really seems like it's just made to be like, hey, here's our Unreal Engine 5 trailer, and for people who played Hellblade 1 to start imagining what the story in Hellblade 2 is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Time for the funniest reveal of the Game Awards.
Oh, hell yeah.
Star Wars Eclipse by Quantic Dream.
Uh-huh.
I need to watch a compilation of people reacting and then getting that
sure
dev
was
at the
a
end.
lot of that sure was a lot of money in art design for something that is made by fucking Quantic Dream.
Yeah, the fact that it's like, okay, we don't know the dev yet. We just know it's Lucasfilm Games, and I'm like, this is it. It's gonna be it.
Do you think the plot of this will be that the dark side is caused by women nagging too much?
Holy shit!
I don't know. It's in that High Republic.
I assume you play that game as the Jedi from Kyber Life.
Yeah.
Sorry, Aggro, that you had to hear that one twice.
I'll see you in hell.
Oh shit! Was that on that stream? Was your stream really that awful?
No, it was fantastic.
Oh, okay. I'll watch the VOD later to see how often we sync up.
I would love it if they got that guy back to be a Jedi.
Oh, fucking 100%. It would be like, oh no, Connor's here. I have to make decisions.
Oh my God, yes.
Can we get Clancy Brown to come back? But he's like a Sith, but he's also like that one from Jedi where he takes off his shirt.
Well, I was gonna say
That's what I was about to say.
We need to make him like the fucking robot Sith, like Sidious. Or like the fucking heavy breathing, multi-armed robot.
Oh, Grievous.
Grievous.
Yeah.
We need to, because I need Clancy Brown doing like a sort of thing as he just belts out lines. It'll be really good.
God.
Fucking Connor would be the perfect Jedi. A completely repressed, emotionless robot whose only directive is to murder.
Yes. And that's why I need that.
Holy shit.
I am hyped for this. It's going to be hilarious.
I genuinely thought that Quantic Dream's making a Star Wars game was a joke.
Yeah.
That I had heard from one of y'all.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. That when I read it from insiders, I also felt like it was kind of a joke.
Yeah, so in the middle of that trailer, I just go, yeah, this has to be the one from Quantic Dreams. And Aggro thought this was a joke. Because
I was really hoping this would turn out to be anything else. Let's.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman by Monolith. We saw nothing. It exists.
Yep. Licensing announcement.
Cool.
Yeah. I guess it's cool that they got out of the Lord of the Rings hole, since this is the dev that was making Mordor games.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they couldn't show us anything, since they must have been working on this for a little while, because Shadow of War was a while ago.
Yeah, I think they're just writing the press cycle well, because they get enough of a pop just from announcing this for certain people. For me, I'm like, they're still doing IPs instead of doing Fear or some new IP from them.
No, they're in the WB Games machine.
I mean, this is most of the game industry at this point. You know, John Linneman pointed it out. It's just a lot of these really high-profile studios are now working on IP games, which is funny because long-term what you saw was like PS2 generations, we still had a lot of middle-tier games, like so many branded games. And then PS3 generation was so expensive, they really started drying up. And they didn't really come back until now that they're coming back as like really premium, actually solid titles for most of them. We're excluding Avengers in this talk because it's like the one outstanding, what the fuck?
Yeah, I just assumed WB or whatever owned Monolith. So that's why I was like, oh, okay.
They are good partners, yes.
Yeah.
It's just a larger trend in the industry was all I was
They're a subsidiary of WB, so they are owned by them.
WB, weren't they looking at maybe selling their games division?
They backed down from that. They were like, oh, we looked at how much they're actually worth. So no, we won't be doing that.
Should have checked that column before
we have the highest selling fighting game every time it comes out.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. I assume that they did one of those things of new guy gets in charge or person gets a new stick up their ass and just goes, we're going to refocus on the fundamentals and just start shrugging off business divisions because that's good. And usually that ends up fucking them. But you know.
Yeah. One of the bigger, more exciting reveals of the night, Alan Wake 2, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
What a way to reveal that shit.
I never thought this would happen. I thought any Alan Wake conclusion would be a sequel to Control.
Yeah.
Because of things that happen in Control. In the Alan Wake DLC of Control. I'm super excited to play Alan Wake 2. I love Alan Wake. I think it was a missed opportunity that Geoff did not ask him to make the face.
I know. I also wanted him to make the face.
them saying this is their very first survival horror and seeing the presentation and control, I'm like, that's going to be the most terrifying thing in the world.
Oh yeah,
they're gonna mess me up.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Wake, it's an action game, but it's still fucking scary.
Yeah,
you walk into a room and it's like, and it's
So
like, the clock is now possessed by Shadow and is fucking coming for you. We saw a trailer for the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie. Looks all right.
Yep.
Yeah. I like in Japan it has a different title. It's called Sonic the Hedgehog versus Knuckles.
Hell yeah.
That's the Japanese title, which I'm like, that's pretty good.
Real quick question. Do you think the movie poster in Japan will follow the habit of the original games in Japan where there will be cool illustrations and mostly Japanese, and then there will be one English sentence that's like, live every day to the fullest. Don't let the sun laugh at you. Make everything you can. Just like Sonic 2 and CD had this bullshit like motivational text on it.
They should like
go and claim the strength of the bloody wild rose.
Yeah, they should totally have that phrase like before the movie starts.
That'd be really good.
What, like Call of Duty?
Just like every piece of media that just opens with a phrase or a quote, and then they cut in to the start of whatever story we're jumping into.
I forget who. Somebody posted like, game devs, stop opening your games with quotes you made up from characters you made up. And then Josh Sawyer from Obsidian quote tweeted with no.
You tell them.
There was a really, really fucking horrible Game Pass commercial. I had to put it in the notes. It was unbelievably bad.
It was easily the worst thing in the entire show.
It was 2 minutes long.
Yeah, it was absolutely
no idea
enormous.
what was wrong with them.
This is when we started having our conversation of, hey, as culture and everything infinitely fractalizes into the insanely narrow paths outward, and we have so many different types of like YouTube celebrities or whatever, we need to stop doing the joke that is, hey, celebrity, you're here. Because there's going to be a large segment of people that go, Who? And while I knew one of the two people, I was like, I don't really know him. Like, I've never seen him.
I didn't know those were supposed to be people. I thought they were just like guys.
Yeah, one of them's Lil Dicky. And then silence. Exactly my point.
Yep.
So this is the corporate version of Todd in the Shadows. What are you doing?
It is. How did you get in my house?
Whoa!
Hat Dan, the Dan with the hat. I thought it was okay.
When is the game Underpasser gonna show up in one of these ads? It's gonna be Phil Spencer in a tap out jersey and a backward face.
He damn it.
Underpasser. If anyone wants to draw the game Underpasser,
Don't.
at least consider.
Re-examine that desire in your heart.
Make sure to
and
add
choose a
Dr.
better
Aggro
path.
with any pictures of the game Underpasser.
Let's escape with Final Fantasy VII Intergrade is coming to PC via the Epic Games Store on the 16th of December. I'm sure they'll announce the Xbox version soon.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I'm sure. I'm excited for whatever mods come out of this release.
The thing I've heard about this version on the Epic Games Store specifically is that when you buy it, you can also put another game into the cart and buy both of them at the same time.
That's
pretty
cool.
fucking
I
cool.
won't do that ever.
Oh, well, that's...
But sure.
Bokeh Game Studios, the studio by what's his name, KZ?
I believe it's Koyama or Toyama. I think it's Koyama though, who was the director of Silent Hill 1 and then went on to be in charge of the
Eiichiro
Siren.
Toyama.
Yeah. He did the Siren franchise for Sony as well.
Also Gravity Rush.
Yeah.
And he started Bokeh Game Studio. They're making a horror game called Slitterhead There was a CG trailer with really gross body horror stuff. This game might be an action game because a dude makes a katana out of blood and chops somebody in half.
That's cool. That's like Blood Plus.
So that'll be neat, I hope. We saw Nightingale by Inflection. It's a steampunky sci-fi Stargate survival craft a lot shoot 'em up jig with multiple players in a single game server, like a million different games that have existed. In the moment they said that, my eyes started to glaze over and I lost all interest in the game.
But is it hobby grade?
That's the most important piece of the puzzle.
My fucking dick was hard for this game, and then somebody said survival crafting, and I'm like, it just dropped 4 points.
Yeah,
I just watched. Yeah.
As soon as they said, well, our game is ... I'm like, you could say it's a roguelike at this point, and it wouldn't, or procedurally generated, and it wouldn't do anything worse. It's now to 0 already.
Yeah.
We got a trailer for Cuphead Delicious Last Course. It was a delightful trailer with puppets.
Yes.
We also got a release date of June 30th, 2022. It's a little bit further out than I would have liked, but I'm very excited. I fucking love Cuphead.
Every angle of Cuphead is perfect. Everything
that fucking puppet trailer was nightmarish.
Okay. I will concede on the part where they make Cuphead and Mugman open their mouths.
That was pretty
fucking
that was
hilarious.
A little rough.
That part fucked me up, and all it did was remind me of that Cuphead show that's coming out on Netflix, where King Dice is voiced by Wayne Brady.
Hell yeah!
Where I'm like, God, I love Cuphead. I'm so glad it's they're finally finishing up in 6 months.
We saw the new Sonic game, sort of. We saw environments and that Sonic would move around in, presumably.
Sonic was in the CG dimension.
They look very higher this man-esque. It's being produced by the guy who came up with the Chow Garden, but it's being directed by the director of all the worst Sonic games.
Like Forces and...
I mean, does that include
Lost
06?
World, and Secret Rings. It does not include 06 because every game I listed is worse.
Because I was bold. But I was going to say, like, a lot of these areas looked like some of the early concept art we were seeing for 06. When they were first pitching 06 as like this grand open space level.
Yeah. They're like, here's this huge level. There's foliage. You get a real sense of the world around this. And it's like, wow, this is cool. And that's what they showed here. And I was like, yeah, based on the leaks we got, this is literally what I imagined in a best case scenario. So nothing here changed what I expected in the least, but it was cool to get to see it. And I'm happy they did that.
I was reminded this is like a PS4 game, so it makes me more confident in performance stuff on
I was
console
like, thank God. Thank God PlayStation 5 will run. It's also on the fucking Switch, so it'll probably be fine even on PS4.
Like we're 2 trailers into a Sonic game, and I'm still optimistic.
Yeah, I know. See, they in 4 months, the first bomb can be placed. And then as we go, and then playable demos, and then there's several bombs like everywhere. But right now, I'm like, an open world thing seems neat. Exploring, rip off Breath of the Wild's Koroks, make them chow.
Yeah,
and then you can do some sort of mini game with. I saw they showed like a tower with like a winding road that's spinning around it, so I can see them doing some stuff with that.
Can't wait to fall off that 8 times because I refuse to slow down to get to the top.
Oh, my brain just assumed it would be automated, but you know,
man, this is just making me think of a Rift in time, Rift Apart.
There you go.
That tower in it where you do the rail grinding and all these other things to get up and on the time trial as the thing falls, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Here's the first cursed bomb that's going to show up, though.
Okay, sure.
What they're not going to tell us is every trailer has featured and will feature Sonic at maximum speed. And at the beginning of this game, just like in Sonic Labyrinth, his magical fast shoes will be lost. So he will He will just walk at normal, or if you played Sonic Labyrinth, sub-normal speed.
I'm imagining like 15 hours of hearing Jaleel White bitch about having to walk slow, and shit, I'll buy that game for $70.
So every single one of these Sonic games that has used the boost formula has
Michael J. White.
After Unleashed has had this problem of they're 4 hours long because they're doing the boost formula. This is an open world game. This is going to be 80 hours long, and you're not going to like it.
Maybe I can't imagine it'll be that long. I imagine it'll be a lot longer than previous ones, though.
Also, you're going to fight Colossus.
At least
this
one.
is being written by Ian Flynn, so that's a
good.
big win.
Yes, that is a huge.
Because at least, and like who knows how much he's actually writing? It might just be dialogue for like funny ha-has. But at least they have someone who I feel like understands the character of Sonic and the sort of things he should say and do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a lot better than whatever the fuck Forces was supposed to be.
It's funny because Ian Flynn's like, oh, this is great. Finally, I get to work on the narrative of a Sonic game and make it really core to the characters, and they're like, no, sorry, we already have the broad strokes of the story and the lore taken care of. And he's like, who? R.R. Martin. We got him.
Yo, really? That'd be great.
I would take.
The chair turns
those.
around and it's Ken Penders in a hat and fake beard.
No! Don't worry. They know. They have his biometric
Right, I was
data.
gonna say,
He gets anywhere close to them.
They do.
He disintegrates.
They do
Fucking
the
ankle bracelet starts beeping.
they do the fucking Sliders-esque thermal scan.
They're like, alert, code K.
The only thing anybody in the gaming industry says to Ken Penders is security.
Jesus.
They showed a trailer for Warhammer Vermintide 2 Warrior Priest. I don't know if this is an expansion pack, a DLC update of a new character, or what, because they didn't tell me. They just showed a guy reciting scripture and swinging a hammer around. And I'm like, I might be into this if you told me what it was.
Yeah, it seems like they just added a class.
It was a DLC update, I guess.
We got a gameplay reveal of Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. It's a next gen exclusive, and I gotta say, I got a little bit excited because, like, oh wow, look at the things next gen only can do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
There's that one shot where I think it was Boomerang does he just jumping off the building and going really fast, and they show like the movement and the sliding, and I'm like, I'm in now. You did it. You showed a video game, and it looks more interesting than my worst hopes, which were limited to no powers and you're using guns. Now you're using guns, but you have abilities and things and traversal, and King Shark looks great because he does a giant ground pound off a building and pulls out the Heavy's minigun from Team Fortress 2.
And Harley Quinn has a drone her dad got her for Christmas to swing from.
That Harley Quinn design is so bad.
Oh yeah.
It's never been
I can't even
worse.
see Harley Quinn designs anymore. My brain just screens them out.
That's good.
I know. I'm glad you're here because I was just gonna keep quiet about that. I'm like, I can't remember anything. Dan, describe Harley Quinn in this. Harley Quinn shaped.
She has an Uzi.
She has like Padme-esque buns.
Yeah,
now.
with different colors.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look this
and
up.
Like her hair is pulled back really tightly.
Don't
It looks
have
like
anything,
shit.
do you?
No, I don't. She was Harley Quinn shaped. I got nothing.
To be fair, she wasn't shown as prominently as the other characters. We got more of the Captain Boomerang and the King Shark, I feel like. Than
Captain Boomerang.
Apparently, that's what the fuck that dude. He's
That's
a
what he's
Flash
named.
villain.
No, yeah, I know. I'm like, Eric was here and he's like, man, he sounds so angry. I'm like, if you were the worst Flash villain, you'd be angry too.
I literally asked Phil, is this a Flash villain? Because it sounded like the dumbest super villain ever.
Okay, have you ever seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
No.
You know at the end when Mark Hamill shows up with a big foam rubber fist and calls himself Cockknocker?
What?
Yeah.
That is basically the character he played on the Flash show called Prankster. And that is a better villain than Captain Boomerang.
Dude, I would take the condiment king from like Batman stuff where he has guns of ketchup and mustard.
He's one of those villains, like he was always around, nobody forgot him. So every now and then they'll like do an event and Captain Boomerang will come back and like kill Robin's dad or something.
I know that new movie has fucking Polka Dot Man in it.
Oh shit, it does?
That's her.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, awesome.
I'm just gonna
because James Gunn has inspired taste.
I'm just gonna leave Harley.
No! Oh my god, she looks so bad.
I don't know. She's got the balance of red and blue in her buns.
This looks like a good emote.
Looks like the nurse from Men in Tights.
Let's escape.
Okay.
Forspoken comes out May 22nd. They showed another trailer. It was a lot better than the first trailer because they didn't feel the need to fill it with fucking quips written by the fucking guy who wrote After Earth.
No, it's okay. Those quips were probably written by Amy Hennig.
They were Hennig core, and Hennig is working on that. So I'm gonna give the point to Hennig, and that's number Wang.
I'm gonna tell the editor of that last trailer to go fuck themselves for cutting literally to every single quip. I bet when I play that game, they're like displaced by minutes.
Oh yeah, no, I was saying after we watched it, I'm like, they literally dropped the WAV files for every quip in the game in this one trailer.
But yeah, I mean, every time they show a trailer for the game, it looks weirder and better. So, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this because this team gets to do something where Hajime Tabata is not trying to ruin it at every single second. Saying, no, hold buttons.
Bob, not present, but on Twitter said they made a joke about not fighting the primary antagonist as the final boss, but then you remember this team made Final Fantasy 15?
I believe he also said that this is like a really, really high budget bullet witch, followed by, that's not a bad thing.
He's not wrong.
It does look, it looks cool, so they get it. You know, we take those.
Yeah. I think this like looks interesting. Like all the monster designs and stuff look cool, and I'm willing to give this a try because all the other trailers showed really hard that traversal, and that traversal looks fun. I'm keen on checking this out.
Now for something I got really fucking hyped about. Space Marine 2, next gen only.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that looks sick, and it immediately made me go. So when Black Isle made Fallout, and they made the Brotherhood of Steel, they were looking at these guys, weren't they?
Yes,
giant ass dudes with baby heads.
Everyone who designed everything was always looking at Space Marines.
And then immediately my chat went, Blizzard stole so many things from Warhammer.
Oh yeah.
Warcraft and StarCraft are literally just, we couldn't get the Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer 40K licenses. We're just gonna steal it.
Yup. Basically.
Space Marine is one of those games that managed to have enough quality to break like the glass ceiling of 7th gen and be like, that was all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
doing a quick play of that game is actually the only reason I know about Warhammer shit at all.
Yes.
Like that's why that's why I've read like the first 4 Horus Heresy books was that game.
Nice.
So very excited. It was really funny to see Tim Willits being towered over from both sides. We got another Saints Row trailer. Professor Ginky was nowhere, so this game continues to live in my head.
Like that's good.
It doesn't get killed off until they do like the Professor Ginky wah wah wahoo trailer or whatever the fuck.
All right.
It looks like the midpoint between Saints Row 2 and Saints Row 3, which is what they said it would be and what I expected. So and there was nothing in there particularly insufferable from the characters. Because a lot of the stuff they dropped after the first trailer, like, it's like a tech company run by millennials, but they do crime. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. Couple red flags.
Please don't unsell your game to me.
Speaking of red flags, I'm sneaking this in here. Master Chief has a code word, and the code word is literally him saying red flag. I'm like, Chief, what is your password?
I'm gonna slip this in because it wasn't in the bullets. They did a really short Horizon trailer for Forbidden West, which I'm like, they're showing some really specifically cool looking action shots and cutting between them. That's a bit of a weird approach. I then learned Sony legend, video game GIF enthusiast on Twitter that posts those really good GIFs, made that trailer.
Yes. Yes. They hired this man.
They literally hired them to do that thing. So that means they gave him a build of the game because he makes every game look cool. And they're like, make these shots.
But so they hired fans, and those fans didn't fix Aloy's masculine face.
You know, I had to hold myself back the whole Game Awards for making the joke of, you've all upset Gorilla, and now her BMI is just... fuck y'all.
Yeah, that had...
Donut Aloy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the editing on that one of just jumping between clips with like the same animation and the transitions and stuff. And I'm like, they're picking really good shots.
Yes.
Oh.
Masterful editing.
Oh,
masterful
goddamn
editing.
snake. Oh.
Yes, the snake with the tires on its fucking neck. I'm like, ugh.
I fucking Popeye's cupped during that trailer. That was,
I'm going to explode when that comes out the same week as Elden Ring.
Right?
Jesus.
That's fucking awful.
But yeah.
I usually get out of this by not caring about half of the games that come out.
I know it. It's pretty nice. Unfortunately, I have to care about both the games, so even I don't get to escape this, even though one of them is a Souls game, basically.
Yeah, I wonder why that Saints Row game skipped that time slot.
Yeah, how strange. I can cover the next one.
Sure.
Dan's girlfriend of 10 years threatens to put him in an abusive relationship by playing Fall Guys with him because they announced the Nightmare Before Christmas Fall Guys crossover.
I heard the noises from the bedroom, and I'm like, uh-oh. Because I'm thinking about viewings of that movie recently, or lack thereof.
No, that's fine. I actually offered to watch it, like, in the last week, but
yeah, I know, but I was like, that means that this will be very powerful.
Yeah. I was like, oh god, no, no, God, why?
That made me go, I should at least check it out. I want to see how many not eggs games that exist within Fall Guys now.
They have a screen that was not there when I played, and it looks like a long-term, hey, do these things to get points sort of shit.
And that made me go, oh shit, does like a lot of those points equal out to a crown?
Yeah. No, I'm genuinely curious how they changed it, because that one screen let me know they put more work into reworking and fixing shit than a lot of people who own the Halo franchise have done. Look, all I'm saying is it's 2021. When I hit the share button, it shouldn't drop out audio entirely for seconds straight.
You're correct. You're correct.
That is yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's it. If you want to move on, you know what?
Dune Spice Wars was announced, a 4X Dune game, which I'm like, oh, that's neat, because Dune was like the first real RTS game, if I recall right.
Yeah.
Like the first major one.
It was, yes. And that's what Warcraft, I believe, was also a knockoff.
We're learning a lot today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm glad that all of society is getting Dune built.
Aggro tried to gaslight me in the middle of this trailer.
I made what I thought was a jape.
Oh, okay.
And I sat there.
Some yucks.
And I was like, there's no way this is true, but I'll check.
What did you do?
Tell them what you told me.
So, the trailer's that one long pull-out shot, and like it gets out to like the hand in space. And I'm like, a lot of people who only watch the movie don't know if you read the book, that's what Arrakis is actually shaped like.
Okay, that entire time I had that thought.
I look over and Dan is on the cusp. He is ready to believe,
dude.
And I go, oh fuck, what did I do?
Oh, you're like, oh fuck, this is like the duck throat thing again when we're playing Kingdom Hearts 3.
That was really great.
That's great. That is wonderful. I'm glad you did that. All it reminded me is that I need to finally fucking watch that new Dune film.
Yeah, have they put that out on streaming again, or is it just?
I think it might be gone now because
it disappeared weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, HBO Max does a thing of same time as theater, but for a month, then gone for a bit until it's like on VOD, and then they put it back on there.
I heard they were talking about putting it back in theaters again.
Oh, neat.
It's all a weird mess.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Fuck.
They showed a trailer for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Does anybody have anything to say about that?
Aggro, go ahead.
I mean, like, every time that game comes up, I say the same thing. Like, I played Borderlands 3 on a PS5, and it was amazing. And I have a part of my brain that just scrubs out Tiny Tina's voice, and that some bitch is going to get a workout because this is it's modern Borderlands with magic and a bunch of cool new enemies to shoot at. So hell yeah, I'm gonna play that game.
Yeah, I imagine that thing's fucking nuts on a PS5. Looking at Borderlands 3 on a PS5, I'm like, this isn't a Gearbox
It's
game.
fucking wild
Fuck?
how much better those games are when they run smooth and mentholy.
Amogus VR.
Okay, thank you.
That is the most horrifying thing they showed.
It was pretty funny to get jump scared by 3D Amogus. They showed a game called Steelrising coming out in summer. It's by Spiders, the developers of like they made Greedfall and a bunch of those like jank Western RPGs. I didn't know this was a fucking alternate history game. I'm super excited and interested in it now. The plot of this game is that the French Revolution was suppressed by Louis XVI's mechanical clockwork army.
Oh.
And I cannot stress this enough. Fuck.
I like because there was a moment
and the plot seems to be you have to kill them and redo the French Revolution.
that is sick. We're getting some weird stuff because we're also at first thinking, is this that Pinocchio game? Because there's a fucking Bloodborne ass like Pinocchio game now.
Dude, declare.
Like there are some interesting game concepts popping out, and the design of those clockwork things were like, ooh.
Yeah, no, they were real
sick.
cool. Real cool shit.
Yeah, it looks real neat. I'm really glad that I checked the Steam page and found out this insane alternate history element to it.
Mm-hmm. It's you and Edmond Dantes' head in a jar.
Maybe he's the Clockwork King that the blurb mentions. They showed a Telltale-esque made by people who left Telltale. A Telltale-esque Star Trek game called Star Trek Resurgent. It features CGI Spock. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it seems like the pop-up. Nobody liked that.
Yeah, everyone disliked that.
Yeah, everyone hated that. For me, there's that, and then there's also the part where they're like, "You need to save the galaxy," and I'm just like,
"You already lost it."
Can we just do some dialogue options to try to stop people from having drug wars?
That's not how Star Trek works.
Yeah, I'm like,
guys, this seems like the perfect like slam dunk, but they're like, we got to make it just like modern Star Trek shows, and I'm like, oh, that's why.
It's like, but you're using like the Deep Space Nine costumes.
I know. Is that how
you're like specifically evoking when Star Trek was good.
And
can't you be like, okay, we're just gonna do some like low key story. Maybe we'll get one of the actors back that are still alive back to play their character, and people will pop.
And then
it's like, no, we have to go talk to Spock.
Somebody's gonna be a girl boss at all costs, like Janeway.
Oh yeah, I fixed that trailer where it says follow orders, disobey. I added the third option, genocide, under that to be accurate to Miss Caitlin Janeway.
You're like, it's a woman standing in the captain's chair. Certain things are to be expected.
There's a certain legacy that you must uphold.
Everything I hear about that woman is crazy.
Oh yeah, she's insane.
She's like fucking crazy.
To the point where Kate Mulgrew was like, yeah, that's how I played her, even though that's not what they meant when they wrote her.
So here's the thing I'm wondering. I'm taking opinions here. Do you think it would be funnier as an experience to watch that Star Trek series after seeing Mrs. Columbo, or watching Mrs. Columbo after having seen that Star Trek series? Because that's Kate Mulgrew.
Mrs. Columbo after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like
And then
I can't find the criminal. Time to start shooting.
and then you have to play Dragon Age because she's the evil super witch in that.
Oh my!
I got to get out.
Iron Galaxy announced something called fucking Rumbleverse, and it has a trailer that falls through your brain, and the trailer didn't give us any indication on what it actually is.
I assume it's going for a battle royale that's physical attacks based instead of shooting.
We have to guess on what the game is, and they're like, sign up now. It's like, I won't. And they're like, they'll do a real gameplay reveal later, I believe they said.
I don't know if they announced that it was Unreal Engine, but Iron Galaxy actually did all of the console ports, or a shitload of them, for Fortnite. So they have to have some deep experience specifically with that engine and doing battle royale. So if that's what this ends up being, at least they have a head start, and this won't be one of those battle royales, hopefully, where it's just like, and then it didn't work at all.
It looked like a Grubhub commercial.
Yes.
God, I hate those commercials.
GTFO got a trailer because it was announced at the Game Awards 2 years ago on early access, and now it's actually coming out today.
It got
I can't remember a single thing about it other than its name.
Okay.
That was the underground horror one with the Irish guy?
Yes.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the horror survival thing with some old devs from Payday 2. They announced it like 4 years ago, but then it hit like early access later. And I only remember because that name's terrible.
So Aggro, Feel, you've both played Metal Gear Solid 4. You know how in 4, to remember things, you mash triangle and you get pangs of images and shit?
Yo,
that's me trying to remember that trailer right now.
I was into that trailer. Like that conceptually seemed really cool to me.
I'm not even saying it isn't. It didn't stick. For like you said Irish, and I was like, yes, I remember that. That's it.
The presenter was clearly drunk and taking way too long for this, and I started seeing Geoff Keighley do that thing he does when they're going over time where he starts spazzing out a little bit, where he's like, we need to get out right now.
That was really fun.
You know what else also doesn't stick in your memory? That Halo streaming series trailer. The only thing I remember, and it's only because of Dan talking about Halo Infinite so much earlier, where they say, you're special at some point in that trailer.
That fucking trailer, because it's just long shots of people's faces weirdly lit, and it doesn't look like a trailer for a show.
Yes.
It looked like one of those weird live action trailers for a Halo video game.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, I was like, a lot of this looks like they burned some money on the screen, and I'm like, my current standard in my head right now is the Cowboy Bebop Netflix show. So, and I'm like, this looks a lot better.
Yeah, it does. It looks like vaguely a real place.
Yeah, because originally, before the Paramount Plus thing, this was going to be a Showtime prestige television show.
Yeah, not sure what the fuck they're looking there.
Reminder that this has already lost all its showrunners.
Yep.
Yes.
I was surprised when they showed Chief, because we were all talking about, what if they just don't have Chief like for the first?
This is the one where he becomes the master.
They showed a child, a male child, and I was like, "Are you John?" And I legit got scared. I was like,
"That's reasonable. That's reasonable." But
at the end of the day,
John?
At the end of the day, this series cannot possibly be worse than Infinite. So I'll watch it.
I mean, you say that.
Looking forward to our content.
A lot.
Can't wait for the spoiler.
It could be a lot.
I can't wait. And you're locking yourself into that one.
Okay. Dan, is Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn better or worse than Halo Infinite?
Better.
No, you're fuck
Dan,
you. That's a lie.
Dan, I'm gonna kill you.
That's a lie.
I'm gonna kill you. I was in physical pain watching that detritus.
Here's the thing, okay? And this is, and I really got to stress, this is all of Halo Infinite. You know how they say a thing and then they show a place that thing happened in, and they show it happening? That's a level of execution Infinite doesn't get to, where they're just like, we're gonna tell you everything on holograms, and I'm like, wish you would show me anything other than the silvery hallway and that public park.
I don't care. Those characters from Halo 4 to Unto Dawn are not there. Are they there?
Oh, a silvery hallway in a park?
They're not there, but I mean, Echo 216 is hilarious.
Look, since I haven't seen Forward into Dawn, my brain is backfilling whatever you're saying with Paragon Lost. So can we get out of here?
Yeah, sure.
Don't worry, that one's live action.
Arc Raiders exists. It's about co-op shooting against a robot army from space, and it has like a retro futuristic type
that
logo.
The one made by Embark, where it has the 3 colored lines and then the color wash.
Yeah,
I had to struggle on that one of digging it out.
I've stated before that I think shooters are always better when you're fighting like walker robots.
Yes.
So that looks like this whole game. So
like,
this is just all cream filling for me.
Like when Team Fortress 2 added man versus machine, where you're just fighting the robot horde mode.
And finally, they showed a new clip of The Matrix. It looks good. That movie's either going to be really great or complete dog shit, and there will be literally no middle ground possible.
Yep.
And then they showed The Matrix Awakens, a Unreal Engine 5 experience you can play right now that I will probably do at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to see that. Apparently, there is some part of it that's just like, try to identify what's the CG Keanu and what's the live action one. And I'm like, I'm really excited for that. I saw a tweet from Bob saying it is pathetic how they think this will be hard.
I'm like, I saw Reloaded in theaters. I've been playing that game for 20 years. I actually had an old guy during Burly Brawl in the theater leaned over to his friend. Okay, now that's real. Now that one's fake, computers. Yeah. And that one's real. Just out loud for the entire Burly Brawl. Was amazing.
That's really funny.
Holy shit, what's wrong with you?
And that was the Game Awards.
Congratulations.
Brought to you by Grubhub.
Yeah, brought to you by Grubhub. Congratulations to It Takes Two for winning the Goatee this year, which means Joseph Ferris, funniest drunkard in the video game industry. The fuck the Oscars guy saying, sounds like the Oscars getting fucked now. And I'm like, I love this man. His shirt's too tight. His nipples are in full view the entire time.
Yep. That's why I tweeted in all caps, fuck the Oscars, look at my rock hard nipples.
That guy was having a good time.
That was great. I can only assume what happened with Game Press is that so many people got deadlocked between Deathloop and something else that this was able to slip through.
Yeah, it has the energy of like one of those years in the Oscars where it's like all the people who like normally everybody would like the hardcore audience would gravitate to like one thing and push it over. But in this one, they're split between like 5 games, so It Takes Two could win.
Yeah. Yep. Which is really cool. I've watched some streams of it, and everyone I see who plays it is just having an amazing time with it.
We were having a consensus out here. Like, did anybody play it? No. Is it like good or is it like important?
That's a really great question.
Apparently, it's like both at the same time, but it came off of him making, he made Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, where you like control 2 characters with one controller. Then there was A Way Out, where it's an actual co-op experience where they did a lot of stuff where the split screen changes depending on what you're doing.
Right.
And you could get a friend pass. So only one person needed to own it. And then you could invite your friend and then they would download it, which is, I believe, the exact same thing they're doing here.
I feel like the industry needs more of these people who are like David Cage style. Like, I'm going to make this kind of game. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep doing it till one of them is critically acclaimed.
Yeah, the funniest thing about the friend pass thing is he was supposed to announce that at the Game Awards, but instead he got drunk and started saying, fuck the Oscars, and never announced that part of his game.
We did miss one part of the Game Awards. They announced the release date for the campaign for Crossfire X, which for people who don't remember, Remedy is making that.
That's like March, right?
February 10th.
Oh, okay. There you go. And I saw the room where it's like all the lasers are moving really fast, like Resident Evil 4. And I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
There was also Sting's poppest of collars.
Yes.
That was some Dracula shit.
I'm really offended he didn't. I'm really offended he didn't just sing "Message in a Bottle." I'd have been down for that.
I know, right? Jesus Christ! You think you're above it? No, sing the fucking song.
One of the few albums I own, the best of Sting and the Police.
Hey, that's a good fucking album.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I would like to congratulate Geoff Keighley in the Game Awards for learning. Every single esports category was in the pre-show. Soundtrack was in the actual show.
That's how you do it.
Games for Impact was in the pre-show.
Yup.
Yeah, they only had one esports award that was like later on. I think you were out of the room, where it's just best esports game, and even that one they just ran through very quickly.
And I guess one last thing worth noting: absolutely insane Jeff Goldblum, Raid Shadow Legends.
Holy shit, that might be the best part of that show.
I was like, wow. Jeff's like, that Apple TV Plus money's good, but Raid Shadow Legends.
Dip into that like Annie-tuber and podcaster money.
Right? He's like, this is mine now, thank you. Is it Apple TV for the Jeff Goldblum thing, or is it Disney Plus? I'm pretty sure it's Apple TV.
Disney Plus for Jeff Goldblum's like weird, quirky show that he
I couldn't remember which service that I did not have at the time they put that on, and I'm like, I would watch an episode. But that's it. We did it. That was
we prevailed.
Big Think Dimension number 149.
Mm-hmm.
Where Quirky Tana is just slowly enveloping.
Yeah. I'm wondering why you're just.
I'm just going to replace myself.
Doing that.
There we go.
Is this actually some fucking weird variant of Cortana that's quirky?
You got to play to find out. All I know is from trailer she's called the Weapon.
Yes, from trailer she's called the Weapon, and you have to play Halo Infinite featuring me, Quirky Tana.
Oh my god,
I'm really scared my
Remember when he was like, I need a weapon?
Exactly.
I'm really scared my gamer premonition of there being the Cortana exuberant witness fusion is anywhere close to being accurate.
Well, luckily your Series X gets here soon, so you can live stream.
So we've heard what Phil is doing in the coming weeks.
It's great because I know he has the open world OCD where he wants to get.
No, it won't be a problem for this.
There's a quality floor for that.
There is, in fact, a quality floor.
Something.
Well,
you get infinite plasma pistols.
In the next week, Bob will hopefully recover, and when he does that, I guess we'll be streaming Halo Infinite. Aside from that, I don't know. Hey, KZ, what do you have going on in the next week?
I don't know. I finished Endwalker, and I'm finally at a point where I don't have to crunch on a big new release. So I'll figure some stuff out. I'll figure out some games to play. I need to clear through the backlog for Game of the Year because there's about 8 games I haven't played, so I got to pick at least 2.
Yeah. Also, it's nice that our internet's working now and stable.
That made that launch even worse.
Yep. Well, Field, do you have anything going on?
No, I have like 12 games that I need to try and beat before the end of the year.
Cool.
One of them is Shin Megami Tensei 5, so that's going to be rough.
Yeah, that is. I did not beat that game. I also need to play more of it. Jesus H. Christ. Well, that's going to do it for Big Think Dimension 149. See you soon, Podlords. See you soon.